morning. Welcome to the regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. We'll be sitting as all taxing districts, special taxing districts, and this is the meeting of February 23rd, 2022. And if you find yourself a little surprised about it being a Wednesday, it's because Monday was a holiday, and we normally move the Monday meetings that fall on a holiday to the following Wednesday. So we're having a meeting this morning. Maybe that can explain why we start 5 minutes late, but it isn't the explanation. Anyway, we'll begin with the call to order and the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Vice Chairman.
Please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that got us going in the right frame, I hope. The first item on the agenda is call to the public. Call to the public is held for the public's benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda, and our attorneys will tell us that every chance they get. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona revised statutes, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and a decision at a later date. Public comments may be made in person or submitted by email at publiccomment@yumacountyaz.gov. The email forms of public comment will be accepted until 8 a.m. the morning of the meeting. All public comments will be read out loud during the Yuma County Board of Supervisors meeting that starts at 9 a.m. Desiree, do we have any email comments? Right, we're gonna leave the call to the public open throughout the session, throughout the morning, so that if somebody comes in a little late or something and still wants to address the board, they'll have an opportunity to do so. We have someone, we have Susan, no? We're gonna go to presentations, proclamations, and appointments, and during this segment of the agenda, board members may discuss the presentations and proclamations and may announce appointments to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission and the Yuma County Board of Adjustments. No legal action will be taken. I do hear we have an appointment to make.
Couple of them. I would like to appoint, it gives me pleasure to appoint AJ Mosqueda, I can't ever say her last, yeah. Her Anna Jeanette to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning.
All right, so.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to appoint Jim Allen to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning.
Right, so let the record reflect those two are appointments that are made directly by the board members themselves.
May I make a comment too?
Oh, sure. Do you need
Coach McKinley has served on Yuma County Planning and Zoning for 18 years, and he has decided to retire from that position, and that's who AJ is going to replace. And I would personally like to thank Coach McKinley for all his years of service, not only to the county, but to the school districts, the high school district as well. So.
Yeah, we should give him a rock. Yuma County rock,
I know, I already talked to Susan, yes.
All right. Okay, well, thank you again for your service, Kenny. And after those two appointments have been made, we will go through the presentation of the county line. It's, I guess, just the county.
Safety excellence.
But we don't? Well, all right. So the presentation of a Yuma County Quarterly Safety Excellence Award by the county administrator. Oh, you've been waiting for that. Oh, yes. I thought we'd do the county line first.
Yes, we always do the Safety Excellence Award before the county line because that's where it reveals who the winner is.
Everything is different. It's raining.
The great reveal.
Suspense. Yes. So, good morning, Chairman Reyes and members of the board. Susan Thorpe, County Administrator. This morning, I'm pleased to recognize the nominee and winner for Yuma County Safety Excellence Award for the second quarter of the fiscal year, which includes October through December of 2021. The award recognizes county employees who consistently promote safety in the workplace. All nominations are screened for eligibility, and a committee selects the winner for the quarter. Nominees are recognized in the UCount newsletter and receive a certificate of achievement, a safety challenge coin, and a commemorative safety mug. Nominees are also eligible for the annual Safety Excellence Award in conjunction with our Employee Appreciation Ceremony. The winner of the Quarterly Safety Excellence Award receives $100, and the annual winner receives $250 and a plaque. For this quarter, we have our nominee and winner, Eric Navarrete Pacheco. I'd like to ask Eric to join me at the podium to be recognized.
All right.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Eric is a fire and security technician 2 in the facilities management department. He has been in this position and with Yuma County for 5 years. Eric shows his dedication to safety for himself and in fellow employees every day. He's diligent in preparing his work area, machinery, tools, and personal protective equipment for each task he's responsible for. His work requires the constant use of ladders up to 32 feet in height, lift machinery, and often exposure to electrical hazards. He maintains constant communication with the person in charge of the facility where he's working, his supervisor, and customers. Eric is also the safety point of contact for the HVAC and fire and safety security divisions and advises his coworkers on proper use of PPE, tie downs, and anchoring points, and other safety practices. So it's always exciting to share these nominations with you, and I want to commend Eric for his dedication to safety as the winner of our quarterly safety award. So in honor of that, we have your plaque, your safety award certificate, and a $100 check.
Thank you.
Woohoo! All right, congratulations. Yeah, we need a picture. Oh, you want to set those down? Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah. At least I won't have to watch my wallet.
Who says?
Oh,
Hi, Eric.
You want to bet?
Sorry. Thank you.
There's hardly a time when we give out checks or advice.
I know, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you for your service.
Can't let you drop your guard.
I know. I felt the disturbance in the force there. So now we have the presentation of the county line.
Improvements to the water system at the Somerton Housing Complex are underway. New redistricting boundary lines have been redrawn and approved. And looking for a hot deal? The Yuma County Surplus Auction is around the corner. These stories and more, this is your County Line. A few months ago, the Yuma County Housing Department started a new project that has been a few years in the making. Back in 2019, the Housing Department started looking for ways to improve the existing water system that had been deteriorating for several years. They contacted the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality and secured a grant to connect Yuma County Housing Department to the City of Somerton water system. This will be a big improvement to the housing's residents.
Working together with ADQ, with the City of Somerton, with housing, and also now the county coming in, I think is, that's a great help. And all this is to benefit the citizens from here. We have about 84 units, so 84 families are going to be benefiting from this project.
This project is approximately 7,200 linear feet of 12-inch diameter PVC water line from the City of Somerton distribution system at Avenue F to the housing's Valley Vista apartments. Currently, the City of Somerton is working on adding water pipes at Highway 95, leading to the housing complex. The project should be completed by the end of March or mid-April of this year. Arizona, like the rest of the U.S., must redraw its congressional and legislative districts every 10 years to reflect population changes in the state and country. Redistricting occurs after the completion of the United States Census, conducted by the federal government, during years ending in 0. Recently, the county formed their Redistricting Advisory Commission to help redraw the Board of Supervisors and Community College district boundaries to account for shifts in population. The Redistricting Advisory Commission had been meeting regularly to rearrange the district's lines. They participated in public outreach in several locations throughout the county.
Redrawing the Board of Supervisors and Community College district boundaries following every decennial census is important because it ensures that our members of the community have equal representation when it comes to local government.
The Commission has agreed upon a final recommendation that was reviewed and adopted by the Board of Supervisors at their February 7th meeting. These new district boundaries will be most important when the Board of Supervisors offices are on the ballot in 2024. The deadline for final bids in the Yuma County Surplus Items Auction is almost here. The goal of these quarterly auctions is to assist county agencies in getting rid of assets that they no longer require or use. The items listed in the county's auction range from office supplies to furniture to even a few vehicles. The auction will run from March 18th through April 1st and will be held online at publicsurplus.com. For more information and a list of items, visit yumacountyaz.gov. And remember, for bargain hunters, there might be something here with your name on it.
I'm Elia Juarez, and this is your library update. YCLD has a brand new website, and we'll tell you what this means for you and your family. The Yuma County Library District has a brand new website at the same URL that you're already familiar with. And what that means for you is an easier way to find all of your favorite materials as well as all of your online reference guides. This also means we now have an online calendar of events that can let you see everything that's going on at all of our branches all at once, and a catalog that is much more user-friendly and helps you find the items that you're looking for in a lot faster manner. Don't forget to check out the website, and also don't forget to follow us across all of our social media platforms. We are on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
We like to take a moment each quarter to recognize our Safety Award winner. This quarter, we recognize Eric Navarrete, who works as a Fast 2 with Yuma County Facilities Management. Eric advises personnel on proper PPE for specific tasks. He points out possible hazardous environments around work areas. He added tie-downs and anchoring points for ladder use and has passed this technique down to coworkers. Eric always offers himself to spot, helping with notifications, area signaling, and barriers when using machinery. He shares opinions on safety topics at meetings according with their division's line of duty. His work ethics and dedication to safety has resulted in less injuries to their department, and is why Eric Navarrete is this quarter's Safety Excellence Award winner. Before we go, we'd like to give a shout out to our Financial Services Department. Yuma County's Financial Services Department has received a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. The award comes from the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada. This is the 20th year in a row that the Yuma County Financial Services Department has won this award. Congratulations to our finance team. Thank you for joining us for this County Line. We'd like to know of any story ideas you may have, so let us know. And if you're looking for stories we've covered in the past, log on to yumacountyaz.gov/VOD. We'll see you for the next County Line.
All right. That takes care of that particular presentation. Is there any, I don't know if there's any comments, and I don't know whether we should take them right now, other than the fact that somebody's walking on the roof. And for those of us who have a guilty conscience, we probably thought, oh, that's my guilty conscience, but it's not. Somebody's walking on the roof. Let's just move on.
Walking over your grave, is that what you're trying to
Yeah, well, I was thinking, did I do something?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. And the items listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. The item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. There are items 1 through 10. Does anybody want to move one out or ask to discuss one? Yeah, I'd like to talk about 10 if I could for a couple of minutes. I don't know if anyone here is from the sheriff.
He'll be here.
Yeah? Huh? No, it won't be here?
No, he will.
Oh, later.
Well, give me time to send it because I didn't know if it was going. He didn't know if it
Oh,
was
look,
going to get
it's
full.
not a big deal. I just wanted to sort of get a better sense of what that was. But, it's not. We can talk about it later, really. So it's 1 through 10. Nobody wants to pull anything out, and I'm gonna leave 10 alone for the time being. So
You
we're
want
gonna
to
move.
come
No, tell them not to. It's okay. It's not a big deal. There's information here. Just wanted to highlight it a little bit. It is after all. What is it? $2.5 million. So it's okay. We'll expand on it when we'll put it in the agenda if necessary. All right, so is there a motion and a second to approve the
Chairman, I'll
consent
make a
calendar?
motion to accept 1 through 10 as presented.
Right, is there any discussion on this? Oh, there shouldn't be one. There's a second. No discussion on consent items that aren't pulled out. So all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to discussion and action items, and the first item in the agenda is management.
There he
county
is.
Administration. Oh, dang it.
Here he is.
God dang, you were
That
quick.
was quick. Well, okay, now,
Mr. Chairman,
hold on a minute, hold on. Let me just
Yes.
get the legal part done.
although you've already approved the item, we are still open for a call to the public.
Call to the public.
And if
That's
the sheriff
okay.
would like to discuss the item.
But that was quick. I did. I
He had
said, hey, no,
to
it's not a
make an
problem.
entrance.
Yeah, you made the trip, so could you
Ta-da.
give us a little more background on the $2.5 million you're getting from the military, emergency and military affairs?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Leon Wilmot, Sheriff Yuma County. In regards to item number 10, these are monies through the state, through Arizona Division of Emergency Management that we applied for to offset some of the costs that we're experiencing in the operations of our patrol and our detention center due to the situation along the southern border that we're experiencing in Yuma County. So these funds will be distributed to our jail to offset some of the ancillary costs that we are experiencing due to influx of individuals who have been arrested and placed in the jail to help offset those costs. So to give you an idea, so far we've experienced about $300,000 in impact to housing in our jail because of foreign-born individuals who have been arrested, committed state crimes. Most of those are drug-related that we're experiencing, unfortunately, with drug smugglers. So that's going to assist us with the purchase of a vehicle. I don't know how far you want to go into each of the
No,
items.
it's fine.
But,
Just go as far as you want to.
it's also going to assist with our patrol bureau in obtaining equipment to assist our officers that are working the Stone Garden. That's where our officers and detention officers are working overtime under the Stone Garden grant to help fill the gaps for our federal partners because of their inability to be able to be in certain areas of the county. So,
I do notice it's a 3-year grant, and that's.
correct.
So
There's
not-
I believe there's a portion the board has already accepted, and then this continues on for the next 3 years. So to help offset some of those ancillary costs that have impacted our operations for the county.
Yes, Supervisor.
Mr. Chair and Sheriff Wilmot, this would mean those federal folks that we are required to house, but is that the folks you're talking about, the federal, those who have
Yeah.
violated federal law, and the state and the feds say that we're supposed to house them, but we're not getting money from the feds to do so?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Supervisor Pancrezi, in regards to the jail, these are individuals that have entered illegally into the country between a port of entry and were apprehended due to committing a state crime. So
Okay.
this doesn't offset, I believe what you're referring to as SCAP, State Criminal
Yes,
Alien
yes,
Apprehension.
that's what I'm referring
This
to.
doesn't offset those costs. Any individual that's in our jail that we are unsure of because of their status, we list them as foreign-born. ICE is the ones that determines which individuals they want to hold on. And then that hold is how we are able to apply for SCAP to get reimbursed. And that typically is 5 cents on the dollar
Yeah, it is.
for us. So it's something that we continue to fight, not only sheriffs throughout the country, but our board of supervisors in every county across the United States to try to get that fully funded.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have a list. I mean, there is a list of some items. I mean, the transport van, the drone, the patrol vehicle, the body cameras. I mean, it's just equipment. And I, wanted to highlight the fact that you were equipping yourself to deal with some of these emergencies. But kind of, without someone from the sheriff's department, it was just a little bit difficult to just go mention all these things. I don't know how much you wanted the general public to actually know. So that's why I said, okay, if there's anyone from the sheriff's department, but we can see a lot of this information, and I'm sure that if anybody pulls the agenda, they can also see it. So, we don't have to get into lengthy detail about a lot of this stuff. It just I just wanted to acknowledge that there is some support and that you're getting it and that you're using it to buy equipment to deal with some of these problems that we weren't necessarily accustomed to.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we appreciate that, and I'm sure our community appreciates the fact that we're able to bring those funding in to offset the costs. As this way, it doesn't impact the general fund for the county itself. I didn't want to go into a whole lot of why we're purchasing certain equipment and what we're doing out in the county, because
all this stuff.
Citizens watch, so do the criminal element, so I don't want to get into too much of that, so.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Chair, for coming in so quickly. I did not realize that was that quick. Next time we need, like I need the sheriff, I'll call there and make sure, hey, you can get the sheriff here. That was very quick. I don't know.
Enjoying the weather outside.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for coming in. Thank you. Now, we already approved the item, so, it's just sort of like additional information. Thank you very much. So we'll move on, and as I was getting into, we'll get into County Administration, Public Health Services, Emergency Management, discussion and possible action regarding COVID-19 updates and activities. And with us is the Deputy Director, Maria Nunez. I heard the director is out of town.
Good morning,
So
Chairman
thank you for
Raiders, members of the
coming over
board.
this morning. Where's Tony? Oh, there he is. I didn't see you. Okay. All right. So what do you got?
So we continue to have a downward trend in cases for COVID-19, which is good. Just to give you an idea, January 22nd of 2022, we had 5,315 cases for that week. As of last week, we had 520 cases, which is still at over 100. It's still over, our case rate is still over 100, so that means that we're still in high transmission rate. So we still need to, the recommendation is to take precautions and use and vaccinate. Keep your vaccinations up to date. Vaccinations will keep you from getting really sick. And also, if you haven't received your booster, get your booster. We continue to vaccinate at the health department, 8:30 to 11:30 and 1 to 4, Monday through Thursday. No appointment needed, just walk in. We continue to go to the outlying areas. We recently went to San Luis, Arizona on, I think, last Thursday at 3 o'clock in the morning to 6 in the morning.
Oh,
yes.
thank you.
So we vaccinated over 500 people at that clinic. The previous Sunday, we went to the SWAT meet and vaccinated there. So our staff is really working hard to get the vaccines out to the community. I want to thank my staff. They're willing to work extra hours to get people vaccinated. The vaccine for 5 and under has not been approved. We're still waiting on that, so we're not actually sure if it's going to happen this month, maybe next month.
They're still working on that, huh?
Yes. We currently have vaccinated 300. We have given 360,148 vaccines here in Yuma County. Our overall percentage of vaccinated people is 82%, and we have 141,277 fully vaccinated here in Yuma County. So,
What percentage is that of
that is a
74, 75?
76%.
76%.
Yeah, so we're good.
Yeah.
As far as the hospital, the team will be probably ending the mission next week due to the fact that our positivity rate is lower, and the fact that they've been able to hire staff, traveling staff, to come in and help them, assist them with their
Patient load.
Patient load, yeah. I don't know, do you have any questions?
Just a couple of comments on that report. One is the winter, and the winter population is here. So, when we talk about a percentage of residents in Yuma County, sometimes that gets a little skewed with so many people coming in from out of town. Two, we're a border community. I thought it was kind of funny when the supervisors from Santa Cruz County told me they were 112% vaccinated or something like that, and I'm going like, what happened? Obviously, what happened is a lot of people from Mexico were coming and getting vaccinated in the United States, and those numbers were being included. And the message here is that although the numbers have gone down, the Omicron variant is very contagious, and it could, the more people are vaccinated, the more people have been infected, the less chances of it coming back up. But I wouldn't go out as far as to say we're past the peak and we're done with this. We still have a few more, I think, days, maybe a couple of weeks or something before we can actually just say, well, we're past this particular peak. It seems to me now it's become more endemic than pandemic. I mean, it becomes a situation where I think as a society need to understand it's just not going to go away. It's just something we're going to have to learn to live with. And I think we need to start shifting the message a little bit into protect yourself at all times, be careful, keep your distance if you feel sick. Now, the only thing that's missing from most of the reports we get is the fact that there are now more testing stations everywhere and that they're still free and that you can get tested at Walmart, you can get tested at Rite Aid, you can get tested at the Comité, you can get tested at the walk-in clinics, you can get tested at the hospital, you can get tested at the health department. If you feel symptoms, we want you to know out there that there's so many testing facilities available, including some of those at-home tests that you probably got through the mail. So please remember that the way that this situation can get really bad is for people not to pay attention to their particular health situation and actually be the source of the infection as opposed to being the source of the cure. So just sort of a shout out there to people that still keep vigilant. I mean,
so our percentage of positivity rate is 17.4 right now. So we're still not, we're not there.
Yeah.
So the message is the same message, prevention, get tested if you're having symptoms, stay home if you're sick. We're not there yet. We've gone through 3 waves starting in December of 2020, and now we're 2 years, 2.5, almost 2.5 years, and we're still here. Omicron is 80%, about 85 to 90%. We don't know what's coming next. It's changing slowly.
A reminder to people that when we talk about a general percentage, we're not necessarily talking about most kids being vaccinated. We're talking about most elderly people being vaccinated, 60 and above, or 65 and above. The percentage is much higher in those. And as a last sort of reminder, people who are between 20-something and 40-something are the highest number of people that are getting infected, are the highest number of people who are dying. And to me, that's because at that particular age group, there's a sense of invincibility that comes to you because you're 25 or 27 and you think, nothing can happen to you. Just a stark reminder that is our highest number. That's where our highest numbers come from. And just be careful out there. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. I just had a text from somebody asking me if the Johnson was still available.
So here in Yuma County, it's not.
Okay.
We actually don't have any Johnson vaccine. Some other counties might have still some, but we don't have any.
Okay, and then could you repeat the hours again for your vaccination?
8:30 to 11:30 and 1 to 4 Monday through Thursday. No appointment needed.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Your efforts are show up.
Thank you.
Tony? I know you've been eagerly waiting your time.
Chairman, Vice Chairman, members of the board, I don't want to be a broken record. You've already stole my thunder. You repeated everything about the testing. The only thing I can tell you is there's more testing opportunities out there. Embry Health has opened up, I think, 4 new sites, one out at Desert Grace Community Church out in the foothills. Embry Health, Real Life Church, 16th and C, one at the Civic Center, and then one at Beehives Homes. They're all going to be on the website, in addition to all the other places you've talked about, and then all the general pharmacies that are and medical providers that are offering testing.
Yeah, and the testing that you can do at home, which is to me some sort of a solution and a problem in its own, because people don't report those outcomes at home, and so we don't really have a true sense of what the infection rate is when you don't have reporting at home from the tests that are taken at home. But we still want people to have that as a preventive measure, so we're going to have to deal with that. But
and you've already talked about the protocols. If you come up positive, stay home. If you need medical care, then go to see your your medical doctor. If not, if it's really serious, then go to the hospital. But don't go to those unless you absolutely need to.
Well, I mean, it's emergency management, and what the purpose of most of this protocols is to actually do a little prevention. So we appreciate that. I mean, testing is not necessarily prevention, but it does work to try to keep a lid on the infection rates.
Correct.
So thank you very much for your efforts.
Thank you,
Any questions? No?
Okay. I have a question. It doesn't have to do with that? Can I
Yeah,
ask
sure,
it?
as long as it has to do with the health department,
Is emergency
emergency
management?
management.
Were you involved in the train roll?
No, ma'am, that's out in Coolidge. And I think it's Pinal County's jurisdiction. I just saw what I saw on the news. Obviously, we have commodities flowing through here, and we always got to be concerned with that.
You provided some training or offered training
Mr. Chairman,
on the train.
your
And I know
items,
that's
your
not
items
related. Never mind.
specific to
Sorry, I
COVID-19.
knew I was
No problem.
I just know that you've done some training on.
You know,
on
the
how-
first sign that was a problem was when you said, it's not about what you, that's
Not
like
about
a red flag.
COVID-19. No. Sorry,
You
John.
don't say
Thank
that
you.
to the attorneys, they immediately perk up. You say, well, in reference to emergency management, and then open it up. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes,
County
he's
Attorney
offered some really
John
good training
Smith.
on that, so.
All right, let's move on. The number. We move on to the next item, which is, I think, number 2, Public Works. As the Board of Supervisors, Yuma County accept the petition to establish the Villa Serena Irrigation Water Delivery District, number 2022-01, under the provisions of ARS 48-3421, suspend the proposed district powers and function of delivering and distributing irrigation water, of maintaining the ditches, pipelines, and other facilities within the order creating the district, declare the district duly organized pursuant to Arizona revised statutes, and finding the petition to be signed by 100% of the owners of the order of establishment of the district as presented, and authorize the establishment of a new fund number for the district.
Thank you.
Ms. Stallworth?
Chairman Reyes, members of the board, Rachel Stallworth, Yuma County Public Works. And it's pretty straightforward. We're just
It's pretty self-explanatory. I think I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to do just that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the item as presented.
I'll second.
There's motion and a second to approve the item as presented. I'm not gonna read it again. Is there any discussion on the item? If not, all those in favor of the motion? Wait, let me finish. If those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Okay, now.
Thank you very much.
Item B.
Yes, you can.
Item B is engineering, discussion and possible action to approve the following for the Smucker Park Detention Basin Project. Award the construction contract to Meridian Engineering Company in the amount of $18,341,253 plus the added bid of $404,500, and authorize the flood control manager to sign the construction contract, and authorize the flood control manager to enter into a contract in the amount of $100,000 with geotechnical services for construction inspection services. Frank, before you begin, this is one of the longest running projects that I've ever been involved with. It is now to the point that I'd like to find out if we can rename it the Greg Ferguson Park, because Greg Ferguson said it would never get done. And I just want to make sure that if it gets done, it gets done.
There
with
yet.
Well, that's what I mean, right? If it doesn't get done, we can blame Greg Ferguson. We call it Greg Ferguson Park.
Don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it. No, we're pretty close now. This is an 18 plus, it's almost a $19 million project. And it's a retention basin that is called a detention basin. So I guess that's what they called them back then. We now call it's probably more like a dam now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a big retention basin. But anyway, I want to thank staff for not dropping the ball and actually getting it to this point. I hopefully we'll, now that today that it's raining, it's very appropriate to be discussing the detention basin or the retention basin. So Frank, what can you tell us?
Thank you, Chairman Reyes, members of the board. Frank Sanchez, county engineer. Per past board direction, we went ahead and rebid the Smucker Park detention basin project. The bid opening was January 20th. We had a total of 3 bidders. The low bidder being Meridian Engineering Company with a bid of $18,341,253. We did have a additive bid on that because the city wanted to downsize a couple pipes just for some cost savings, but they didn't know how much money that would be for the full size pipelines. And so we added an additive bid, and the city wants to go ahead and incorporate that. They have the funding for that. And so we're adding that additive bid back into to the project.
That's a little confusing to me. They wanted to downside the.
There's the inlets. There's some pipelines that, if I recall, 96-inch pipelines that feed into the new retention basin. That for cost savings, that they originally they wanted to downsize those to 60-inch. However, they still wanted to see if how much money it would be in order to keep those 96-inch pipelines, and so we added it as an additive bid.
So if there wasn't enough money, if the bids came in too high and you couldn't cover it, they would downsize it.
Exactly,
saving $400,000 or $500,000.
So we reached out to the city, and the city is obviously in favor of constructing the project. They're going to actually contribute another $1.7 million in addition to the $2 million that they already contributed, and that includes the additive bid.
So in combined total, what's the split between the city and the county?
Out of the $19 million, what the city is going to put up 3 something and.
Yeah, so the out of the 18,700,000, the city's on the hook for 3.7.
Stay on the hook
because they've committed
a portion, which
Yeah.
is a very small portion. That's why I think we ought to rename it the Greg Ferguson Park.
I agree.
I think it's more a county project than a city project. I don't even know where the name came from anymore. Is it the area? It's called Smucker?
The park,
The park?
adjacent park.
Oh, so that's why it's called the Smucker Park Detention?
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
I
I
don't
like
know
to call
how
it the
it's
Greg Ferguson Retention Basin. Let's see, the naming rights haven't been purchased by someone else. All right. Well, I actually mean it, right? I mean, look into it,
Okay.
for me, will you?
Okay.
And just bring it up and see how complicated that would be. I don't know if Greg Ferguson would like it, but you know,
Oh,
I
I'm
would.
sure he would.
Anyway.
We'll look into it.
Okay, we'll look into it. Okay. All right. So, is there any other
We'll have a
questions? about
competition to name it.
Yeah.
No, not a competition, because Russ McLeod is going to get involved in it. So, you know, I think.
He's not here to defend himself.
Is there do we have any pending sewer plant expansion projects that we can name? No, we don't do sewer plans, so we're gonna have to, I wanted to tell Russell, we're gonna have to wait a little while.
Yeah, really.
All right, okay, so now what we got in front of us is the Smucker Park
Mr.
Station.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve it.
Yeah.
I second that motion.
There's been a motion to approve the project as presented, with the numbers as presented, and there was a second somewhere I heard.
Me.
Oh, this is the other side.
Woo-hoo.
So there's been a motion and a second to approve the item as presented. Are there any questions? If no questions, then those in favor signify by stating aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries, and I'm serious about naming it. But we'll move on. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Mr.
County
Chair.
Administration discussing the possible action to approve an agreement with ACDMA, the state, which is Arizona's Department of Management, I don't know. For fairground relocation funding, reporting requirements and project deliverables, and authorize the county administrator to sign the agreement. So this is where they're gonna start transferring these funds that the state allocated for the move.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Susan Thorpe, County Administrator. As you know, Tim Dunn sponsored and the legislature approved $5 million towards the relocation of the Yuma County Fairgrounds in support of MCAS Yuma's mission to get the fairgrounds out of the clear zone. So this will allow for the county to be the receiver and the project manager of those funds. We've been meeting with the city and with fairgrounds representatives to talk through what the needs are for that $5 million, knowing that it might not cover everything, but it will make that go as far as we can and make as much progress as we can. So this will allow us to provide information about the costs and get funds in advance of spending the funds on the various design and construction portions of the project.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
as part of the original proposal from AZDMA, when the money went from the legislature, there was a limit on the time constraint. And so we petitioned to have the money transferred prior to, so that we had it and we didn't have to front the bill and front the money. So this is to receive the money so that we can then work with the city and the fairgrounds in order to move some of the equipment out of the clear zone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, my next question or comment has to do with whether we have, don't we have like a task force form to deal with this? Don't we have like a group that is doing this? Because the question that I ask is, okay, we're moving it, but where are we moving it to? I mean, you know, it seems to me like the wheel is turning.
Mr. Chairman, this is not a complete removal. This is
Some
taking
equipment?
out of the clear zone.
Mm-hmm.
Susan, do you have that map?
Yeah, well, if we take it out of the clear zone, you mean it's moved within?
Within,
It's
yeah.
within the,
Within
it's,
the
Yes.
it's going to be moved within the fairground so that it's not in the clear zone where that one section
I
is.
get it.
We have Eric here from the
And-
fairgrounds, and we also have this task force / group that's
I wanna
met,
be on it.
where we discussed priorities
Yeah.
on how to get things taken care of, and we're working with the fairgrounds right now on that.
Right. So what we're talking about is equipment that is basically in the landing path or whatever they call that, runway or something. And you guys, there's enough space in that site originally to move some of this equipment to a location that's less exposed, but it's within the same site, right? So, and I suppose the task force is working on the new location, because that would,
Location has already been decided. The
Okay, you see?
fairgrounds has identified, they had a study done by Populous, which is a planning firm. And so we have the plan and the cost estimates.
Oh,
So
alright.
the city and county are cooperating on seeing what we can do under our JOC contracts and what have you for the design and the topographical survey and the things that have to come before we get to actually making those changes on site. But yes, the fairgrounds relocation will be, and that's not it. So they're just doing something else, which is distracting. So,
yeah, no, I'm trying to, look, if I don't know, we had a meeting,
Yeah.
we had Zoom meetings yesterday with federal Congress people,
Yes.
right? And we really pushed for the support from the Department of Defense and from the federal government. But I wasn't particularly aware, and it's my fault because I suppose the information is available, but I did not know, I didn't have a clear answer when I was asked, okay, where are you moving it to and how much is it going to cost?
so the federal request is to completely relocate the fairgrounds to a different site.
Mhm.
This is a temporary
no, I got
relocation,
that.
which gets it out of the clear zone. That is where we're using this $5 million. How long temporary is an unknown. It could be a very long time. But at the meantime, we still want to continue to push for a complete relocation, which
Okay.
would
So
completely get it out of any concern area for MCAS.
So right now, what we know is how much it will cost to move the equipment and get it out of the pathway, the runway path.
Right now,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we have an appropriation of $5 million to go in and remove rides and some of the infrastructure from the clear zone to the other side. It won't be for a complete and probably won't cover 100% of the cost, but we're gonna get a long way. The federal, like Susan said, is a couple $100 million. For a
200
complete
million, yes.
Yeah.
165, $170 million.
As of the last
And
time,
those,
yeah.
you will
That's,
see.
that's a
I'll put it
department of,
this
oh,
way.
hell no.
And we will
You-
name that
Look,
the
look,
Tony
guys,
Reyes.
you're looking at a guy that once saw the San Luis project be a 30-some million dollar project. It is now a 300 and some million dollar project. So I'm not surprised. Those numbers don't surprise me. I just didn't have a handle of what
When the
we're talking
staff
about. And when
asked how much
when
it
you're
was-
asking us to basically appropriate $5 million for this, I never thought. I've heard the numbers that I've heard is over 100 million, 150, 160. So I said, okay, how are we going to move with $5 million? What are we going to move? And this is what this is about. This is about moving certain facilities, infrastructure from the pathway into a clearer zone, into a zone that's further away from danger, if nothing else, while we work our way into getting the numbers and getting the location fixed. Do we have the location fixed? Do we know where this is going to be moved?
No.
For this appropriation, yes.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah.
But
in-
ultimately, no, we
We
have
have
not.
to buy land, and we can't buy land until we have money.
Well, there is the possibility that this
Right,
land would
Eric?
end up being federal land, and that's what I was talking about. If you find a patch of federal land, BLM land or rural reclamation land somewhere, you begin a long process that requires an act of Congress. And sometimes you can get it. No, I wouldn't say for free, but close to for free. I know because it's been done in San Luis. We did it. So what you do is you ask for this 20-acre, 30-acre parcel of federal land, and you ask for it for this purpose. And as long as it's for that purpose, you may be able to get Congress to do it. But it takes an act of Congress, a real act of Congress. And to do that, we need to get a location. It's a lot easier to talk about a location and say, this is how much it's going to cost us to do it here. And that's what I'm getting at. I'm skipping a couple of steps, but I think it's going to take a long time. So we might as well just get moving and choose a location. And preferably make it be federal land.
And Mr. Chairman, we've also had discussions with the state land department so that we could do swaps if we did not have a contiguous piece of land in order to make it worthwhile.
Well, let me tell you, state land runs under the Urban Lands Act bill. They can't give you anything. They have to sell it to you. Yeah, they can swap it with the federal government, but when they get it, they can't give it to you.
Right.
They'll have to sell it to you.
Correct.
So when you get it from the federal government, you get it directly from them.
Yes.
You don't need to do a swap. What you need to do is an act of Congress deeding it over to another public facility, which in this case will be a nonprofit, which would be the chip. Even if it's given to Yuma County so the county can use it for a fair, it's still a lot cheaper than trying to get it through the state in a swap. I tell you that because I bought about 600 acres of state land. And I've been buying state land since 82 actually. So they can't give you anything. As a city mayor, I tried. And it didn't work. And so I know that for a fact that it's not beneficial for Yuma County for the state to swap for some land, because once the state has it, they have to follow statute. Well, I'm just making sure the vice chair here understands that why when he talks about a swap, I'm saying, no, don't swap it. Just get it directly. Well, anyway, this is too long a discussion for a $5 million budget item that is
Mr.
going
Chairman,
to
I'll
be.
make a motion that we approve it as presented.
All right,
To
there's
receive
a
the money
motion.
from AD.
There's a second.
Second.
$160 million, someplace we don't know. Okay.
On the $5
So
million,
there's a motion and a second to basically set up a fund. That's what it is, so we can receive the money from the state to start the process of moving some infrastructure within the fairgrounds.
Yes,
Right?
this item is to approve an agreement with AD.
All right, so we'll do it as presented. Any discussion on the item other than what we've had? No? All those in favor of the motion signify for stating aye.
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 And guys, I'm sorry, that's what happens when you've been around a long time.
I know, that's okay.
You know too
I
much.
learned something.
Eric's having fun this morning looking at this.
Did you learn something already? Huh?
Learn something new every day.
I know,
You used to have a beard too, but. All right, but move on. We'll move on. We'll move on to the next item, which is facilities management. Discussion and possible action related to a presentation by BWS Architects and Facilities Management on developing for the new administrative building on 197 South Main Street. Do we have like a facility at the end? No? Okay, no. Go ahead, David.
Chairman Rice, members of the board, Dave Hilland, here this morning. I do want to mention we did have Frank Slingerland with BWS Architects is en route. He was delayed, unfortunately, coming from Tucson and is not here yet. I can present what I know. Oh, it's the PDF. I'm sorry.
Well, it's fine.
Or do you want to delay for Frank?
We don't want to delay it. Just
Okay.
go ahead, and if he needs to add something, we'll add it. We have another item at the end, like a work session, and we can include something.
Yes. So the county's been working with the BWS Architects, and we are in what's called the schematic design phase of the development of the new administration building at 197 South Main. We are nearing the completion of schematic design. What's happened to date is that we've gone through the programming phase, working with each of the departments that would occupy space within this building to determine their space needs. And then putting that into the floor plates for the new building layout. And if you would go ahead, please, can you move to the next? This is that's that view of the roof is all. This is the basement. It is a 3-level facility with a almost full basement. We've brought it in from the exterior extents of the overall footprint of the building. This just shows the general layout of the facility storage space that would occur in the basement, as well as the stairways.
and each color represents a different department?
A different department, correct.
Okay.
And the gray are actually facility or departments that are not present in the building itself. What we have right now across the street at 197 is the full basement across that full facility, and we include storage space for other departments that are not necessarily associated with the building itself. So it may be that we find alternate space, in which case this would become available for future needs.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes?
Dave, do we have a legend for the colors?
We do. I'm sorry. Yeah, we have a better presentation coming, but I can tell you roughly. We have, if I could recall. Yes, you will also, as part of the work session, you got a printout of these floor plates in there as well, and I think it might be a little bit easier to see. But it's essentially, I know it's a recorder and elections in the large green on the right-hand side, board of supervisors across the top, the assessor, I believe, on the left, and the treasurer down at the bottom in the pink.
Yeah, we're green. Should tell you why.
No, the recorder's green, yeah.
Yes, that's correct. And elections
Yeah.
combined together. They're split into about 4 areas there for all the equipment. There's a freight elevator that'll serve the basement level, and then we have 2 stairways shown. And again, this is not 100% locked in, but we're getting pretty close at this point in time as far as the layout.
Thank you.
So for construction and for shoring, we're coming in about 10 feet or so from each side to you know, that safe and solid construction. So this is looks a little bit distorted up there, but it's more rectangular in shape, I guess, from top to bottom, a little bit longer. But this is the main floor. I don't know, is it possible to zoom to increase the size just a little bit?
Where are we at? There we go.
Yeah. There we go.
Now I can see it.
A little too much.
So in this layout, you will have Main Street on your left, Maiden Lane on the right, and 2nd Street below.
There you go.
With entrances. I know that we don't actually see the, there will be an entry here, even though the little door legend isn't visible there.
Which street is which?
This is Main over here, with our current building on this side of the street, 2nd Street below, and Main Lane behind to the right, to the east.
Is the entrance going to, what's the address going to be? Is it going to be Maiden Lane or?
I believe it will remain as 197 South Main.
Okay.
So the actual, that's the meeting hall, right? The blue one?
So yes, we have the Board Supervisor Auditorium. This is about 2,400, 2,500 square feet, seating capacity of 100. So this room, as comparison, is 1,200, so basically double the size of this space.
Mm-hmm.
With the dais in front here, elevated, and 2 rows of seating for county administrator and county attorneys. A ramp behind to provide ADA access to the raised dais. We have table and chair storage. We have an executive conference room for the board for closed session. We have a small restroom here. And then the yellow space is our communications department, the recording studio, support space for that studio, and then this is a control room similar to what you have in the back here.
Do you have any idea, David, what size the city hall is? How many do they take?
This room?
It's large. I want to say seating capacity is 200 range, I believe.
Yeah, it's quite a large building for that size auditorium. I mean, when the initial purpose for it was to have an auditorium, 100 people, it's not that many. I mean, I know it's twice the size of this, but that is a big building for that size auditorium. I mean, to me. I mean, I know the design phase is way ahead, but and it's really difficult to do anything else, but that's a small size auditorium for the type of, I mean, the state is looking at a bill where you have to provide space for everybody to see you. I mean, look, I mean, to be in a situation where you can only have 100 people inside a meeting hall and not have any backup like we do here, like you can be, it's not a good idea to me. I think those are the kind of things you oversize, not undersize to me. I know it sounds like I'm talking about it kind of late, but look, a 3-story building with how many square feet of actual space?
Each floor is about 27,000 square feet, so a
Okay,
little
so you
over
got
80,000.
80,000 square feet, and you're using how much for the 2,500 feet?
Yeah, in that range.
It just seems to me a little odd.
Yes, it needs to be larger so that it can be utilized the same as.
I know county supervisors.
Having chairs, I mean, for 100 people, that's quite a bit. I mean,
How much does the city hall house?
270 or 280, something like that.
But do they really fill
Oh,
it up?
yeah, I know county isn't that exciting, but when it gets exciting, it does get exciting.
Well,
And that's
that-
all.
I
think it's exciting, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, well, maybe you haven't been here long enough. That's why. Pretty soon you're gonna figure it out.
Seating, with chairs, sitting down it's 100, but standing up, we can fit up to 500. So don't worry.
Yeah, well, all we have to do is not worry about Omicron. Well, just a comment. I mean, this is sort of a, the problem is this is not much of a preliminary. This is pretty much the layout. And again, I was expecting the hall to be the dominant feature of this whole thing. That's why we're doing, right? That's what I thought we were doing. I thought we were building a meeting hall to handle a lot of people. And this seems to me like a secondary thing. I mean, okay, well, we'll put in the meeting hall there somewhere for 100 people. It just didn't, it doesn't appeal to me this way, but I can deal with it.
Yuma County is growing, and so the number.
I'll be willing to sacrifice our offices to make it bigger. See how good I am?
It's not too late to look into changes there, but one thing to keep in mind, we did, if you recall, we made a trip to Pinal County. It's been some time back and kind of looked at their setup. And one thing that we liked about their auditorium was that they provided some overflow space in a separate room. So for those board meetings when you have a larger than expected crowd, and that could happen in one of two places here. Either these are flexible use conference room space. We could probably seat 30 to 40 or so, and a little bit larger in the back here. So either of those spaces could be made available. This one is a little bit more in the back, not necessarily public access, but this one certainly is as well. So I would add capacity for those.
How many offices do we have for supervisors in there?
5.
The supervisor's offices are actually on the top floor, on the third floor.
They're on third floor.
They're not in the bottom floor.
I don't think I have.
What's in the bottom
Yeah,
floor?
we
That's
get
it?
windows.
Oh, I guess I do. These are the Board of Supervisors offices here adjacent to county administration. So we have 5 offices plus a small
That's
lobby.
on top of the meeting hall.
Workroom.
How tall is the meeting hall?
How tall? Yeah, the first floor would be, the first floor will have a higher ceiling than the rest of the building. This is, I think we're at 12 feet here, and we're looking at probably 15-foot ceiling heights. Thank you. for the entire first floor.
Will be 15
Everything?
foot.
All the offices?
Well, in like an office space, it'll be this style of ceiling that it'll drop it down to a standard height, but the floor deck itself will be
A lot of wasted space.
all the mechanical systems and everything in that space.
How much extra space would there be if we took out that storage room and the little conference room on the side?
Yeah, we could reconfigure the shape of the auditorium and add some space. We do want to make sure we have a small, private session meeting space. I imagine we could relocate table and chair storage to the back of the building or elsewhere.
Throwing it out there.
Well, I hate to sound a little, maybe it's a little preposterous to say that, but I thought, we waited until the end to be able to accommodate the Board of Supervisors and administration. We have accommodated everybody in this building, and I still think that the main feature of that building was going to be the auditorium. And, and making it the first floor 15 feet and then having the offices drop down. I mean, it seems to me like, okay, I still think 15 feet, it's high enough, I suppose. But again, I thought that the dominant thing in there was going to be the auditorium. As a matter of fact, I thought the auditorium was going to be able to be accessed from the front of the building. That to me is like the parking lot area down the other side. There's nothing there.
We wanted to keep it central, so that whether you're accessing from Main Street or Maiden or 2nd Street either, that you're coming into the central area. This would be a reception desk area here to provide security and oversight to everybody going through the central lobby area, and then.
So all that gray space is nothing? It's just access to those small offices?
This space here?
No, the one in the side here.
Here?
No, down below. I mean, there.
Okay,
The gray area. All the gray areas.
All of this is
walking-
lobby and
What are we
corridor.
doing? So the front of the building is going to be no office, no windows, no nothing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This will be all windows down along this west facing wall.
Nothing.
So, Mr. Chairman, you did have a design review committee, and you got 2 supervisors who are on the design review committee, and they've been going through this all along. I do remember that when we first talked about a Board of Supervisors auditorium, we did, after looking at Pinal, say that 100 seats was a good size, and we probably would not need that most often. Sometimes we might need more, and so we do have overflow opportunities here. We're also going to have better technology so that we can have remote viewing of our
So how big is Pinal?
Pardon me?
How big is it, Pinal County? Is
I think it was about 100. You mean the
The county
auditorium?
itself? No, the county.
It's slightly less than 500,000.
Okay, so they think that 100-seat auditorium is enough to handle their population, right? And I think that 100, I mean, again, I think that 100 seats probably enough for most of the time. I do agree. I mean, look at how many people we've got. But whenever you have a hot button item, we are looking at having to have a, you know, at some place like City Hall or someplace where you can really fit a lot of people. Or we have overflow, which in this particular case, if you design some overflow space in there, I can deal with that. I can live with that. I mean, it's not like I want this huge 300-seat auditorium. It's not. It's that I think that again, you know, I know we changed from the beginning, and this is like a project, like I mentioned, it's like the city of San Luis when they started with the port of entry and what they started with. We are now in a three-story building that has 80,000 square feet, close to 80 or maybe more than 80,000 square feet. And so I understand how that auditorium lost its identity in the middle of all this huge, you know, construction phase. But 2,500 feet for an auditorium in an 80,000 square foot building that's supposed to be like an administrative building seemed like an underperforming type of thing. But again, probably won't get to sit in there much, so keep going.
Very good.
Yeah, do build some overflow. And I tell you, that window space in there, I hate to be in an office that has empty space in a window. I'd rather have the window looking outside, personally, but.
So we're keeping in mind, of course, this being west facing. There will be an awning, a canopy, a covered walkway outside of this. But
may I suggest that maybe we can use that space and put those, you know, and stop having people walk around like that and just have one pathway in the middle, or maybe a horseshoe type, and move those offices to the edge, and so that, why would you want to have a door there, a door here, a door here, and a door? It's just too many doors.
And there's things like fire code that we have to bear in mind. So we do need multiple access points. So this would be likely an exit only, but we have a row of counters here. So this is all of your elections, voter registration, recorder activities. So there's service windows along this entire stretch here. So
there's use for that space.
Yeah, so that'll be where people will be queuing and doing the business.
Okay.
You don't want people wandering around.
Oh, I don't.
So that's why yeah,
it's there.
We'll
So
keep the public primarily in this area in here. We'll have control over this. Of course, they'll be open for meetings, so you've access to the auditorium through here. This will be a secure point. But if these rooms here are dedicated to elections activities as well, so if we have people that are wanting to view what's going on in here, then we'll be able to secure at this point and have this open so they can watch what.
People who participate in elections get heated up. There's too much glass in there. No, I'm just, look, guys. I mean, I think you could have done the same thing with the offices on the side, but again, having, well, okay, well, let's go on because just too many comments at the same time.
The layout of each floor is similar in these light blue areas, in that you'll have a shared break room and restroom space for staff in the back, and then public restrooms, including a family-style restroom towards the front here. And then the rest is essentially back of house. Again, we have a training room space with a capacity of, I think we're about 35, 40 capacity in this space here. And then our shipping, receiving dock, and some storage area with access to the freight elevator here. Moving to the second floor, the primary tenants on this floor are the assessor in green, the treasurer here in this pinkish reddish color, and then the school superintendent's office in the back corner. Again, designed with a combination of office and open workstations, window counter here for public. So again, the same feature exists here with the public corridor across the south portion of the building. So those people doing business, whether it's with the assessor or with the treasurer, are able to come off the elevator or the stairway and immediately access the service windows here. These have been designed with some space for future growth. I know you can't read the labels, but there's a couple that are tagged as future office or future workstations in each area.
To that point, Mr. Chairman, what do you think that we have as far as a cushion for future growth?
What do you mean we?
So each is part of the
Administration? Oh, everybody?
Yeah.
Each of the departments, as we went through the programming phase, was asked to provide to the best of their ability what their estimated growth factor for the next, say, I think we use 10 to 15 year range. And obviously that's very hard to do. You ask a director now, you ask that same director down the road, it might be a different answer. So we've applied that approach. I can't tell you a percentage, but each department has, I would say, 1 or 2 offices or workstations available to accommodate the future growth at the departmental level. What you will notice is there's not necessarily space overall, that's for any kind of additional, I don't know, division or department that may come along that would want to occupy this space in this building. And we can nail that down if the board would like to know a percentage of space within each department of that's planned for future growth. Second floor. Third floor now is county administration in yellow on the right. The board of supervisors offices again in the back in blue. All the purple areas are finance department, and all the red is our HR. And we've met with these 2 departments just last week, and there's some minor adjustments coming here. But we feel like we have enough space for HR. We're working through some issues with finance to make sure that they have the space that they need. They do have, I think we have 1 office designated for future growth here in finance, and 1 office, 1 workstation within HR right now. Although there's talk about possibly some change of title, so one of those may be being taken already.
David, are those little things with a cross and their elevators?
In the hallway? This is actually an opening through the top, so this will let some natural light down into the interior central corridor so that people who are working in these areas will have the ability to see.
Those little ones that, like in the
Oh,
corner.
smaller?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah, that one and that one.
Yeah, these are mechanical duct chaseways to get air down to the lower floors.
So there are elevators, just not people's elevators.
Elevator-wise, we have a public and staff elevator here in the front.
One
and
and
one freight elevator here. And the freight elevator will be able to be used by staff as well.
That kind of, it's like having a road that only one road gets to something. I mean, there should be at least 2 elevators in this building. One of them breaks down, it's 3-story, there's 2. So one's a freight elevator.
We do actually have space here in the front lobby. We could add a second public elevator.
Well, it's a big building, 80,000 square foot.
And those are the sorts, yes, and those are sorts of questions that are still being discussed. I believe that we're in schematic design. It's not too late to make a change.
Those are the kind of that's the kind of areas you need to overdo a little bit in a building this size. I mean, especially, wasn't there a plan initially to build the supervisor's office next to the meeting location instead of having to go to the 3rd floor? Weren't they supposed to be next to the meeting? We're supposed to walk out.
No, they're supposed to be, the idea was for them to be close to admin because admin services board of supervisors.
So you're going to make people walk up to the 3rd floor to see a supervisor?
Take the elevator.
The freight elevator?
Because we don't want to divide our administrative staff.
But we're not administrative staff. Supervisors aren't administrative staff. They're constituency services. And I mean, making them go up to the 3rd floor to see, or having a meeting and having to walk from the 3rd floor to the 1st floor to get to the meeting hall. Do you have a conference room next to the meeting hall?
Yes.
Large enough?
It's that one.
So we have, again, the executive session conference room here for board use. We have shared public conference rooms here.
I'm talking next to the meeting hall. That's all you have, conference rooms? That one? And what's the next one to it?
Table and chair storage.
That's kind of odd. You put storage next to the meeting hall instead of an office?
The tables that are going to be used in the room and the chairs.
Yes.
It's still storage.
It's going to be a multi-use boardroom.
What's next to it? I mean, what's on the other side? The yellow and, is that technical? That's technical stuff?
This is for communications department. This is the control room for sound and
then that
video.
one, what is it?
This is just essentially a vestibule passageway through, so if there's a technical issue that they need to access, they can come through this way. There's a small restroom that
How do
goes
we
with the
get
board.
into the building ourselves? How do we get into the meeting hall? We have to walk in like a regular customer? No, seriously, I'm not talking about, I'm not kidding. How do
Here,
you walk
access
in?
it here off of Main Lane, you'd be able to come in this way, and there would be, a place to secure personal items or.
Really, guys, you really taken that meeting hall and made it, just like a little addition to this building, and I thought that was going to be like the main focus of the building. It's disappointing to me, but I can live with it, but I still believe that there should have been arrangements so that supervisors can have an office next to the auditorium, and it should have been so that you can walk into the auditorium without having to walk out into the public, especially given some of the heated deals that you are probably going to be dealing with.
Back here? Yes.
It's not a public entrance.
Correct. Staff only, as well as loading dock access back here.
What's a big space in yellow in there?
Here?
That one there.
That's the studio. That's
the
essentially
studio?
what's on the other side of this wall, but about double in size.
Okay, well, it's the first time I've seen it, so, my comments have to do with, maybe I should wait a little while, but, I mean, I just,
When we get to the work session portion of the meeting, you'll have a
wait.
paper copy that you can take and.
And like you said, you guys went to the Pinal conference room and you saw that, and I've been to the one in Tucson or Pima County, and the one in Pima County, it's a lot smaller than the one for the city of Yuma has. And I talked to some of the supervisors there, and that room has not been filled unless it's heated, something that is really heated, and it doesn't get, I haven't seen something really heated here. That it's gonna be.
Only the bike path. Well, I think.
But,
Yeah, really,
but
huh?
for Pima County to have a conference room that it's about 150 seats for the longest time, I mean, for us to have a conference room, that it's gonna be 200 seats, that we're never gonna fill it, and I guarantee you, we won't.
Okay.
It's just, we talked about
Well,
wasted space in the, the beginning.
I tell you what, the fact that, again, the fact that we were building, that we're doing anything on the other side of the street was to accommodate the administration and the board of supervisors. The fact that we're building a 3-story building is to accommodate the assessor, the recorder, the treasurer, and the administration. And I have no particular problem with that. And what I'm talking about now are some design issues, like access, directly to it. I've given up on having the 200-seat auditorium. That's already given up. I'm trying to figure out how you do a meeting hall for supervisors, and then you put the supervisors in the 3rd floor, and you put the meeting hall on the 1st floor, and then you don't put any access. Look, whenever we have a heated one, it's when you're gonna need to come in through the side. And the initial one had one. I remember the initial design that we had the supervisors in the bottom and had an access point. I mean, like the city of Yuma has. I don't think the councilmen have to walk in through the side door or something. They walk in through a space, and then they walk into the meeting hall. Yeah, I know.
For access, yeah. So yeah, again, your public points access are down here across the bottom. Either this or even back here will be staff only. So you'd have, depending what direction you're coming from, you'd be able to come in this way, access an elevator to get to your office, or come directly into this conference room, or straight in off of Main Lane here.
Right. Okay. It can be, I guess in some ways it can be solved by making that freight elevator a regular elevator and making.
And I had some questions about that as well, and I've seen some samples where they essentially are an oversized elevator. I mean, it doesn't have to look this.
So it doesn't have to be padded like for crazy people.
So, Mr. Chairman, on a lot of those freight elevators, what they will actually do, it's a oversized, regular elevator, but then they'll just put up like the moving blankets on the walls if they're actually moving freight. But for the most part, it's still.
And on one side, they have those
Right.
big doors, and the other side is normal doors.
Just finish it
Yeah.
up, because we got another work session later, so we can talk.
We do.
details later.
And I think the primary purpose of the freight elevator really, in the basement, we showed the recorder elections equipment, that the type of equipment coming and going from the facility and straight through the loading dock and out to be deployed. So I don't think, necessarily the type of things that will be carried in that freight elevator will
Preclude.
cause much damage or make it.
We're just gonna have to bunch up a lot more.
Yeah, so that's basically it. We covered, I think, the layout here. Again, the same shared common spaces behind this is a finance conference room. There's a conference room here that would be shared between the Board of Supervisors and County Administration. Access from either side.
Everything blue, it's basically County Board of Supervisors?
Correct.
What are those blue little spaces in the bottom? Those ones?
It's just like a small workroom with a printer, that type of thing. There's a small kitchenette, if you will, a coffee bar type of setup. And then this is essentially a reception desk. How that might be staffed, I can't really tell you, but there's this point here, essentially a lobby for anyone who may be meeting with you coming in this way.
All right. That it?
That's it for this building. We do have we had some preliminary exterior elevations, and I apologize again that.
Oh, no, they'll come in. If he makes it, we'll take him in during the work session.
Okay, that sounds good.
Any questions? I think I've made enough comments, so we'll move on to the next level. Thanks, David, and we'll see you soon.
Great, thank you.
Right, we'll get the next items off, and so we can get into the work session, get into a lot more details about more buildings. The next item is discussion regarding legislative issues, discussion possible action regarding state and federal legislative updates, which may include international issues, status of bills impacting Yuma County, timelines and composition of the legislature, redistricting and legislative strategies and priorities. You couldn't include more things, huh, Alex?
We tried, Mr. Chairman.
And you tried to put everything in there, huh?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'll be presenting to you the legislative update. There have been more than 1,600 bills dropped into the 55th legislature second regular session. The last day for House consideration of House bills was Friday, February 18, 2022, except for appropriations. And the last day for House consideration of Senate bills will be this Friday, March 25th. Some good news. On February 17th, Cesar Chavez Boulevard expansion Senate Bill 1490 is sponsored by Senator Atondo and co-sponsored by Senator Kerr. Passed the Senate floor vote with 23 votes in favor, 6 against, and 1 no vote. The bill has now been transmitted to the Arizona House of Representatives. On February 21st, the Cesar Chavez Boulevard Expansion House Bill 2651, sponsored by Representative Fernandez and co-sponsored by Representatives Dunn, John, and Osborne, passed the House Appropriations Committee with 9 votes in favor and 4 against it. While the bill received votes to go through committee, Chairwoman Cobb and other members of the committee, including Representative Osborne, noted that they would like to see the county contribute to the construction of this project, along with the more than $5 million that the city of San Luis has already invested and or committed to invest in the expansion of the Cesar Chavez Boulevard. Chairwoman Cobb stated that it would be hard for HB 2651 to pass the House without any funds committed by Yuma County. Yesterday, HB 2651 was deemed as constitutional and in proper form by the House Rules Committee and has also gone through the House Majority and Minority Caucuses and made it to the consent agenda. Unless it is objected to, it will go straight to the House floor to be voted on. If it is objected to, the House Committee of the Whole will hear it and vote to move it to the House floor for a vote. Both of these bills, SB 1490 and HB 2651, appropriate $33 million from the general fund in fiscal year 2022 and 2023 to the Department of Transportation to distribute to Yuma County for construction, widening, repairing, and upgrading of the Cesar Chavez Boulevard in the city of San Luis.
Now, they weren't specific about what kind of contribution or which part of the county. Does YMP, is it in the YMPO 5-year plan?
I wouldn't have that information, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if any of the other board members know that. But that was a comment, and it was echoed by several.
I got a call.
Okay.
About it.
Yes, they didn't specify the amount. They didn't specify the amount. on HB 2412, the open meetings digital recording bill. It's going to go to COW today. The sponsor of the bill changed the requirement of the minutes to be posted from 24 hours to 3 days to allow for the body to approve minutes before being posted. And following on the HB 2541 and SB 1381, the Deputy Sheriff Detention Officer salary. The sponsor is waiting to gather enough votes to get it to COW. The Arizona Sheriff's Association reached out to the CSA, and now they're in conversations to agree on some middle ground.
Okay.
On last week, February the 17th, if you'd excuse me, Governor Doug Ducey visited Yuma County to give his final state of the state.
I know.
I would have been back.
The governor touched on a wide range of topics from funding schools, including the future Somerton High School and Arizona Western College, and the Yuma ag industry, which he called the centerpiece of Arizona's economy. Following his address, the governor met with community leaders in a roundtable. He then visited with students, teachers, and staff at the Gowan Science Academy in Yuma. Yuma County Supervisor and Vice Chair Jonathan Lyons had the opportunity to welcome and join the governor during his visit to Yuma County.
Go ahead, keep going.
Keep going. Oh, it's
Don't mind here. We're just sharing some M&A.
A bipartisan bill at the federal level introduced in 2021 by Senators Durbin from Illinois, Cornyn from Texas, and co-sponsored by Senator Kirsten Sinema from Arizona, specifies that 25,000 unused employment-based immigrant visas would be exclusively reserved for nurses, while 15,000 will be reserved for doctors and physicians. The bill aims to temporarily solve the U.S. medical personnel shortage. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information and the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, roughly 11 million new nurses are needed to fix the shortage. Employment opportunities for nurses are projected to be higher than any other field between 2016 and 2026. There are more than 70,000 nurses in Arizona, but a report by Becker's Hospital Review said that around 18% of healthcare workers, or 1 in 5, have left the medical field since the start of the pandemic.
Yep.
On February 22, the Yuma County Board of Supervisors, I'm sorry, I skipped a slide. I'll go back. On February 22, the Yuma County Board of Supervisors met virtually with the congressional offices of Congressman Gallego, Congressman Gosar, and Congressman Biggs to discuss the 2022 Yuma County federal legislative priorities. Staff will continue to work to schedule virtual meetings with the rest of the Arizona congressional delegation. Now moving on, Yuma County Board of Supervisors Chairman Tony Reyes and Supervisor Martin Porches attended in person the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference held in Washington, D.C. from February 12 through the 16th, 2022. During the conference, topics that were discussed over the 5-day event included the environment, infrastructure, rural development, election law changes, immigration, the pandemic's toll on mental health, public land use, and the economy. Notable speakers at the conference included but not limited to the Secretary of Transportation, the Secretary of Agriculture, and President Joe Biden.
You guys get pictures?
I got pictures.
Good.
That one there we have to share with Santa Cruz County. Many is tough to
I know.
to overcome, but we tried.
That is my report for today, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer
Mr.
them.
Chairman, I just want to comment, Alejandro, you did an excellent job. Desiree, you as well, in getting those meetings set up with the staff of the congressman, and you did an excellent job of representing us at in those meetings. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm just kidding. No, you did. You did a great job, and this was a sort of a. I mean, as part of that. Well, I'll do that during my reporting time. But the trip itself was sort of like a new trip, a new way of doing things. So we'll get to it a little bit more. The issue of the city of San Luis, the Cesar Chavez Boulevard, we need to narrow it down a little bit more, and we need to know if there's available funding from YMPO, if there's any type of county funding that can be. I've heard the comment. As a matter of fact, the city of San Luis called up and said that could be a holding point with Senator Cobbs, who mentioned that very specifically. I don't think, it's not a county project that I can think of. It's all within the city of San Luis limits. It's not that we haven't done projects. I mean, we're doing the Smucker Park with the city of Yuma, but we really didn't plan on that one. And I don't know whether the fact that the CARES money, it's available for almost anything, or there's infrastructure money coming our way, means that we can sort of set aside something, because this isn't like it's going to happen, those are big projects. They'll take some time. It will be probably next year before you see anything happening in that line. But we need to make sure that if we need to do something, we do it quickly. That process moves really fast. So if they're talking about a minor contribution, 500,000, less than a million or something like that, I think we can handle that pretty quickly. But we still need to make a decision, and it needs to come to us as a solid project where if there's an investment of $33 million, the city of San Luis puts up 5 and the state puts up 20 something, and we put up 500 or a million. I can see where the return on that investment would be for the county, especially given the fact that there's a commercial crossing that really is at the intersection of all this.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, during the committee appropriations committee meeting, the fact that the county was mentioned is because Cesar Chavez was mentioned as a Yuma County road, and they are asking it. If I may, I'm guessing they're asking for more than $1 million since the city of Yuma.
They need to clear that out. Highway 95 is a county road, and they're confusing 195 with Highway 95. Highway 95 is a county road, and when you're asking for $33 million for a county road, I suppose that it would be normal to consider that the county would be offering something. But they need to know that that is a city road, totally. And that if the county would participate, it would be fractionally participating, just to make sure that we
State
were,
and city.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's a state and city road.
It is a state and city road. I mean, we could help and support, and I guess at this particular time, we may be able to find some funds, but, I'd say that they need to know those.
We only have until tomorrow at 9 o'clock to object to the bill, so we can edit it before it goes to, the committee of the whole.
Just make it clear that I think the county, I don't know, the rest of the board needs to make a decision, but I think the county would be sort of inclined to participate a little bit on it, but it is not our road, and it's a state road, it's a city road. It's going to be difficult for us to substantially provide any kind of assistance.
Mr. Chairman, and that was not clarified by the city of San Luis staff and Vice Mayor Rosales when he approached the committee. When he was there, they mentioned the road as being a county road, and that was part of the confusion for that.
Well, let's make sure that Senator Atondo and Representative, all the representatives, all our congressional delegation is aware that, as a county, we didn't know and understand that our participation was needed for this project. Otherwise, we would have discussed it already, put it in front of us to talk about it. We don't want to be the ones that are holding it up, but we also don't want to be the ones that depend on to make it happen. It's not a role so far to do that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about
how to deal with it.
How to deal with that.
And just a comment, but we can't forget 95. That is county.
That is county.
And 95 is really bad.
So it's gonna need a recap.
So for me to put in money to a city street in San Luis, it's gonna be really, really hard.
Especially because we have other priorities within the county, not just 95.
Oh, but look, guys, Highway 95 goes through Somerton, and it goes on its way to Yuma. When we resurface, Highway 95, we don't stop at city limits most of the time, even though we do every once in a while. Most of these county roads, at some particular point in time, ended up getting to the cities or going through the cities. When we do something, we have, we take the cities into, it goes through Gaston, for example, it goes through cities. It's not that I think that we should commit, because I think that needs to be an item in the agenda. But I think that this time, what we're looking at is a very time opportunity. We're not going to get an opportunity. The state's not going to be willing to put up so many millions of dollars for a county, into a county. It may be a city, but all cities are within the county. So I'm not saying let's do that. I'm just saying let's not be the ones that stop the project. Let's clear out that it is not a county road. It is a state road. It's a city road. and that the county would be willing to participate, but it would have to be a decision made about how and how much, if any, we would be willing to do that. And that Highway 95, it was a part of a trade. Now, in case everybody has forgotten, Highway 95 used to be a state
for
road.
195.
We traded it for 195 so that 195 could get done. And so we assumed the responsibility for Highway 95. We're not saying that we're going to take monies that we need to upgrade County 95, to put them into 195, which is basically a city road. We're saying that we're not going to be the ones. I wouldn't like to be the ones holding it up, especially if there's some confusion about whether it's a city or a county road.
YMPO can look at that, and so they're.
But the timing is a little. The timing is a little.
Mr. Chairman, the good news is that we have SB 1490 that has already cleared the Senate, and it's an identical bill that will now go to the House. So that gives us some time.
Mr. Chairman.
It's the Senator Cobbs that make this call.
It's House Representative Cobb.
House Representative Cobbs?
HB
But
2651.
I don't think she would have made the comment if she'd understood that it was a city and a state and it not part of the county.
She may be.
In her-
Somebody needs to clear that out a little
In
bit.
her defense, if they, I think that she
Are we
just
getting
needs
into too many
somebody to-
discussions that are too specific? No, it's okay. We're still within the report. Okay. All right. Well, whatever needs to be done, I wouldn't like it to be this County of Yuma or a misunderstanding about the County of Yuma's participation in a city, a state road to be the holding point for a bill that benefits a city of this area, of this county. So just make sure that it gets cleared up, and if if it's a need or something, we'll bring it back to the board for their decision. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions? No comments? We'll move on. Thank you, Alejandro. And the next is event calendar, current events. You want to begin this, Supervisor Patterson?
Hold on, I have it written down.
Did I see the
Okay.
architect get in here a while ago?
Yes, he did. He's sitting back there. I attended the budget briefing with Jonathan and the committee. I attended the LEPC meeting, which is emergency management. I attended the WACOG Regional Committee on Aging. I went to the Brown Bag webinar on the Southern Nevada's new water reality. Let me tell you, what they're doing makes us sound like we're not even doing anything. So anyway, they're really making some headway and limiting how much water they use. I attended the CSA executive board meeting and the board of directors meeting. I judged the beer and brew steak cook-off between the mayor and the winner of the beer and brew, all the contestants, and it was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. This afternoon, I'm attending the Southwest Ag Summit. Tomorrow I have YMPO, and Friday I have the CSA Ledge Policy, and Friday I have SWAT, which is the local town hall. So there we go.
Supervisor, Vice Chairman Lyons.
Attended the budget briefing, met with a few different constituents, hosted the governor for a day, and met with Border Patrol again to talk about some of the issues down along the border, and anticipate having between 10 and 25 members of the federal delegation here visiting in Yuma over the next 2 weeks. Some of ours.
All right, Supervisor Simmons.
Had a 197 main meeting, attended the LEPC meeting, went to the Lincoln Day dinner, spent a day out at the rodeo, which they really had a good attendance on Sunday, which is unusual. Usually that's kind of the slow day, but they had a pretty good turnout for people coming out. Attended the Mesa del Sol Homeowners Association meeting. the Medium County Caucus, the CSA, Hank Days Parade, had a Zoom meeting with some of our legislators and the budget brief. That's it.
Okay, Supervisor Porter.
Attended the budget briefing, the Northern NACO conference in DC for the 5 days, 4 days, and that's it.
Right, so I attended a budget briefing too, and I've been invited to a second one. I'm trying to figure out, okay, so that one was for this, and this is another one. We have a budget retreat on the 28th of this month, which is next Monday. So we're going to be talking about the budget for some time. Attended the National Association of Counties legislative meeting conference where President Biden gave us remarks and basically visited. So we got to see him up close. Yeah, he's in a bubble right now, but so he gave us some remarks. We met with Senator Kelly, both Supervisor Porches and myself, and the delegation from Santa Cruz. We basically had a long talking list of items that we wanted to discuss. We discussed them with him in person, and we left a packet at Senator Cinema's office in the same building. We had those Zoom meetings with that Alejandro mentioned earlier with 3 of our congressional delegation. I have spoken to Representative Congressman Grijalva before about some of these issues. Had a vision group meeting, which is a group of people that basically either work or live in San Luis, Arizona, that have interest in San Luis, Arizona, including the mayor. So we had a meeting last, not last Wednesday, Wednesday before that. I think that would be it. I did give a presentation on the immigration reform task force for the task force itself, where they had representatives from Homeland Security. They had the chief of the Border Patrol there. I know the chief. I don't know which chief now because there's so many chiefs. But this was supposed to be the chief of the Border Patrol, and I know that Magnus is now in another area, and so it's a little confusing to know now. I know they have regional people and they have district people or whatever, and so it's kind of tough to know. But he was supposed to be the chief of the Border Patrol. Anyway, it was a very busy time, and like I said before, it felt a little odd because we hadn't had a chance to meet with each other for a long time. It's Washington, D.C., it's an odd place to begin with, but this time, if you went into a restaurant, you had to have your vaccination card. If you had to have a mask. It was a little weird, to say the least, but it was a very productive meeting. We talked broadband, we talked CARES Act, and how to, the final rule, as they call it now, from the Treasury Department regarding how to use CARES Act money. I've got a lot of information to give to administration. It's in my truck. I should have brought it down this morning, but there's a lot of information that became available very late. And as Alejandro mentioned, there was a lot of department heads, a lot of cabinet level people in those meetings, where we had an opportunity to see them in person directly and ask them questions directly. So it was a very productive meeting. As far as I'm concerned, we just sort of needed to get back into the groove of things, and this is just the start. For those who attend the Western Regional something meeting, it's going to be in Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska, in May. So sort of give you a heads up. That's it for me. Susan?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We also, our budget review team attended the budget briefings as well. I presented a county update to the Chamber of Commerce at their board meeting. We did get word back from ALO's attorneys that our county attorney's office has approved that they meet all the qualifications to move forward with our agreement and contract and work order number 1 to design and construct the broadband middle mile backbone. So that's very good news. And then they're upcoming tomorrow is the YMPO board meeting, and that will be the last meeting for Paul Ward, who is retiring I think that's his last day or his last meeting day. So
Sorry.
That's what I thought.
Sent me something. Should not have opened it.
well, she probably.
No, it's my four grandchildren, sorry.
I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
I apologize, Susan.
I don't know, what would you say? Just kidding. Well, thank you very much. And what we got next is, instead of just, this would be the, normally in a normal agenda or a regular agenda, this would be the last item, but we do have a work session and a discussion and action item where the county administration and facilities management, the health district, will hold a work session and provide discussion and action and direction to staff regarding future county facility needs and available assets to meet those needs. I think we're gonna take a 5-minute recess to reset. Again, it's just public meeting, so everybody's welcome to stay, but this is a work session that we're gonna be holding. So I don't know if we're gonna hold it in this format. So just take a 5-minute recess just to sort of wind down. Okay? On? I don't know. No, wait a minute. I think we need to take a look at something. Okay, I am hereby opening this meeting as a work session, coming back from a regular meeting into a work session. And the item in the work session is listed as County Administration, Facilities Management, and Whole District. It's a work session to provide discussion or action or direction to staff regarding future county facility needs and available assets to meet those needs. David?
Chairman Rice, members of the board, thank you. Dave Hilton here once again. And I want to introduce from BWS Architects, Mr. Frank Slingerland. This is with regards to the admin building at 197 South Main. Frank and the team at BWS have been working with us for several months now in the design of this facility. We are nearing completion of the schematic design phase, as we discussed earlier, and Frank has a number of images. Obviously, we've been through a portion of it already, so you know, determine the pace at which we move through this. And with that, I'll turn it over to Frank.
Well, thank you for, I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Our firm is has been really honored to be working with Yuma County on this project, and we've taken this responsibility very seriously, and again, appreciate you entrusting us with the project. Thank you very much. I'm going to share with you today a little bit of the process that we've been through and then where we are. It's really exciting. I think it's coming along great. I think the team that we're working with through the county, all the department heads have been tremendous to work with. They come to all the meetings prepared or over-prepared even, and have given us all the input we could possibly need to be efficient and effective.
You didn't get an opportunity to hear me, that's why.
What's that?
I think you didn't get an opportunity to hear me. You would have said, you know, oh, wow.
Oh, I did. Everybody's welcome. So if we need to revisit things, well, I'm happy to do that.
Some of us are not as prepared as you would have imagined.
Oh, okay. Well, the slide that's on the screen right now is something that we did really early in the process. And we go back to these every now and then just to make sure we're on the right track. So when we met with everybody initially, we set some goals. And, you know, they were things like making sure the spaces or the departments are all located together on the same floor, the ones that work together, that there are no broken, you know, departments aren't broken between floors, that there's places for interaction, that there's meeting space, that spaces are designed specifically for their use, that wayfinding is easy in the building. The public, when they come to visit the building, they'll know how to get to where they're going. When staff is in the building, they feel safe and secure. Those kinds of things we looked at, and those were the goals. We also met with everybody initially, and we looked at the needs for the project. So we established the square footages for each department, and then therefore the entire building. And you can see this first page is kind of the total square footage of the building. It's a little bit below the 111 that we're showing right there. We're just a little above 100,000 square feet. Right now, the basement is a little smaller than the other floor plates, which is, you know, a good thing. And then this is an example of how we worked with each department to establish their needs. And you can see that we did a current allocation of space, what their current need is, and then we asked everybody to predict what their need would be 10 years out. And so the assessor's office is a good example. You can see the current staff projections are in this column, and then in the 10-year projections, we have this column, and then when you add them together, that's what we get, and then these are the areas that we're designing towards. So we've built in 10 years of expansion into the design already, and then there's even a little bit more available as we go. Let me give you another update here. So then let me see if I can figure out how to do this. The entire project, we've been, you know, for a long time, we have been in sketch mode, where we come to meetings with sketchy drawings, and we go over with the departments what their needs were, and we kept it kind of loose. And when we met with them, they would make changes. We'd come back and quickly sketch the changes. And the design evolved from, really loose sketches to these sketches. And then we continue to meet with the departments, and this is kind of an example of some of the changes that we would make with departments. This is the 3rd floor, and here's human resources, and you can see those red marks on the page. Those are just how we were working in the Zoom meetings to make sure we're capturing everybody's needs. And we've met with each department, I think, at least 4 times now, each department 4 times. And we still have a few more changes to make, but it's evolved really well. And the plans now are starting to become more hardlined and more defined. And you can see this example on the screen is, if I can grab it. You can see the drawings are starting to become more hard-lined and drafted. I'm sorry, it's got a mind of its own. Let's see here. And anyway, they're starting to get more drafted and hard-lined, and you can see the structure is starting to show up, where the columns are, where the wall thicknesses are, where the doors are swinging, that kind of stuff. And we're right at the end of schematic design, where we're going to just kind of put our pens and paper down, document everything, and then we're going to begin the next phase, which is called design development. And we'll start to work in more detail with the departments. And in those meetings, we'll start to say, do you need a window from your office looking out to here? Do you need outlets, in this location? What kind of equipment's going to go where? And we'll start to define that more. And let's see, along with that work that we were doing with the planning, we were also doing some other kind of work on the exterior of the building and the interior finishes of the building, trying to get an understanding of what the county would like. And so we looked at a series of images like this together, and then we took a poll as we were talking, and we kind of grabbed all the comments that everybody made about each of the images on the right-hand side, and we start to gain a little bit of insight into the things the county might like and what you might not like, so that we don't go down the wrong path to start with. And so we looked at images like this, and we got some feedback on that maybe this building that looked like it has a copper or rust screen is not necessarily what we want in Yuma County, but maybe the building like this with a like number 6 with a more mixture of materials might work well. Maybe number 5, something like that would be acceptable. Not number 1. We kind of went through a series of images like that. I like the more contemporary look. No, I like something more traditional. Those kinds of things. We went through that, and then we also looked at a variety of exterior images. We looked at, talked about entry forms and treatment for the west sun and for the east sun and south exposures. And then we also looked at the interior spaces and started to talk about what kind of window coverings we might like, what kind of finishes on the inside, how open or closed the spaces should be, those kinds of things. Went through that. We looked at spaces for like Board of Supervisors auditoriums and kinds of finishes and those kinds of things. How could we make it flexible and how could we meet your needs there? So we started to gather that information, and we're using that as we start to develop the exterior of the building. And you can see we went through quite a bit. And this was with the entire planning committee and the department heads too.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was very inclusive. And then let's see. We also talked about buildings around town that people liked. And we understand that the addition or the new Yuma City Hall is one that people seem to gravitate toward with its stone-clad exterior. I've also noticed the Roll Courthouse too has got a similar stone cladding, and that seems something that's very acceptable here. So we started to look at that and think about that, and then we started to develop our exterior a little bit. And this is really early on, but this is just a initial view of the project. We presented this to the group, and everybody seemed to think that we're heading in a good direction with stone base and a stone mass on one side with a colonnade and canopy on the lower level, so that we have an interaction with the Main Street. You can also see where some of the articulation of the offices and how it projects on the Main Street side, so there's a strong connection to Main Street. And we also are trying to create some outdoor space for staff. Even if you're on the 3rd floor or the 2nd floor, there's still a way to get some outside fresh air and be in the outdoors. So we started to look at that, and we're developing it farther. We're just getting started on it. But you can even see, I kind of picked this view just to show you a little bit of the other kinds of coordination that's happening too. We're meeting with all our consultants at the same time that all this is going on. And you can see the mechanical equipment on the roof is pretty extensive. And so part of our idea was, making sure that we have vertical shafts to get the air down through all the floors, make sure we have room to accommodate the equipment, and then also making sure that we're screening it from view so that nobody's going to be seeing this, ugly equipment from the street or from wherever. So you can see this is kind of a street view, and this mechanical equipment screen is what's protecting the equipment from view. And so that's a quick overview of where we've been and where we are in the process right now. We've come a long way from the beginning, and I hope everybody's happy with it. We've gotten nothing but positive feedback so far, but I would welcome any comments. And Susan or Dave, is there anything else that you'd like me to cover that I haven't? I tried to be kind of brief. But.
No. I don't have any questions. I made my comments already. I'm sure they're on the record, so I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
You don't have to hear them again.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to share it with you.
So,
what's that?
At least, I know you drove over. Did you came from Tucson?
Yes. Yes.
I see that you drove a long ways to do the presentation.
Anytime though.
I like the way it looks outside.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
I like that. Yeah,
Most,
I did too.
most floors, the 2 top floors, I like.
And you're the council chamber or the Board of Supervisors auditorium space is the one that you're concerned about?
No, in some ways, but not necessarily concerned. I do agree with Supervisor Porches in that most of the time 100 seats are going to be enough, more than enough. We're going to feel like, what are we doing in this place? But when it gets to a hot topic, I mean, we've held meetings in the city of Yuma chambers where, we almost had. What, do you want to say something before?
Yeah, I was describing that we had that one meeting when it was the animal refuge place.
Yeah, the animal refuge meeting.
The Old Souls.
Yeah,
that was the one time.
And I'm a little concerned that the legislature is taking some action too regarding providing space for people. So the only thing I'd like to add is that size is probably more than enough for most meetings. What we need is like an overflow space. That we need to talk about that. An overflow space, even if it's 2 conference rooms with 30 seats or something like you guys already have spread out across, just as long as they're accessible. And the other concern was having people walk, all through the building to get to whatever it is that we're talking about. So I guess that's just going to get a little more into the design of the floor where you have conference rooms and where you have access to it. The other comment I made about it was that in the initial concept, which was a driving concept for the buildings next door, we had a way to get into the boardroom without having to walk outside or walk in, in the general public. Now,
we still have that.
David covered that and said you
good.
can actually walk into the side. And then we have like a blue area where there's like a conference room and then a storage area next to it. I find that a little more disconcerting. I would suppose that to me it would be better used if it was a large enough room where you can always have the seating already there instead of stored, so that essentially you could always use it. And if you don't use it, you still have it.
Well, we can still change this as we start to understand the.
I said I wasn't going to make any comments.
No, that's great. Hey, you know what? Real quick, we run into this issue a lot. Like when you think about designing churches, the question is always like, do you design for Christmas Day Mass and Easter Mass or service, or do you design for what's typical?
Yeah.
And if you build for, if you build for the Christmas Day or Easter, you have gigantic parking lots that go unused for the whole year. Same thing with this kind of, with the Board of Supervisors auditorium, you have that issue where you design it for, the largest group that you normally have. And then usually what we do is exactly what you were saying, Supervisor Reyes, is that overflow we could accommodate in the lobby maybe, because the lobby's really big, and we can incorporate technology in that space that will allow the people in the lobby to see what's going on inside on those rare occasions that you have more people than need be. That's one solution to your concern, but we'll continue to think about that as we develop it.
I don't like that solution. That
You don't?
means
Okay.
putting people in danger. If you have to clear the place up, you don't want people sitting in the lobby when there's a clearance. I'd rather like the idea that there are some spaces in there that are being used or considered for use as conference rooms. I just like to get them closer to the actual place, even though it wouldn't matter. It's still a remote location.
I see
Overflow.
what
But the
you're saying.
overflow, the closest you have it, the better I like it.
Okay.
But the lobby is not, to me, a great idea.
That's a good
Security issues would come into play, especially because when we have a hot topic item, it is when everything is heated up. So you don't want people in the lobby fighting each other, or
Okay.
In an uncontrolled, unmanageable
Ability to
situation.
do that.
You'd rather have somewhere that you have them in a location that you
We
can.
want them enclosed so they
We want them
can't
enclosed
run.
so they can't run. Right.
Well, we'll continue to look at that, because I think we can come up with some
Don't wanna take
strategies
up a
to
lot of your
address
time.
that.
But thanks a lot for coming over, and we appreciate it. And I particularly, I like the way it looks outside, and I like the distribution. I like the size. It was a little bit of a design issue with me, because I guess being the older one here, I've been waiting for the administration and the Board of Supervisors to have their own. I waited till the last moment, and now we're involved in a bunch of facilities again.
Well, you
It's
gave
like
us some good things to think about. Thank
Yeah,
you.
like a
And we'll
cycle.
continue to
All right.
work on it.
No,
though.
thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Right. Oh, wow. Okay.
Should you order pizza, Tony?
No, I didn't, and I didn't expect it, but I know.
I ate chips and candy.
Okay, you better pace yourself. We got to get everybody out of here by noon. They have already been warned.
Absolutely. Well, Chairman Reyes, members of the board, we're back again. This we're picking up really is a continuation from the discussion we were having in December. You might recall I was here presenting on options with regards to the health, the facility, and one of the comments that came back from that discussion was a desire on behalf of the board to see a more complete plan that took into account other departments, agencies, organizations that may be impacted by the plan that we're discussing. In that particular example, we were talking about the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension in the health facility. And what we've done from there, you have before you, and I'm going to ask you to maybe set this to one side, but refer to it as needed, is what we're calling a strategic facility assessment and conceptual plan. We've put together not just looking at the health department facility and those projects related to that, but really a number of different facilities that have been identified as facilities of need. And we have it broken into, well, 4 categories. You'll notice 4 tabs on your book. The first is looking at, and I guess I could be advancing this and keep with it, looking at those projects that have already been discussed to some extent, have been possibly even approved to a certain extent to go to the next step anyway, or have recently become an issue that is considered a planned project that needs to progress. And in particular in that category, we have the health department facility, we have the IT, public fiduciary facilities management facility, we have the recent addition of the Division 7 of our courts, which creates a need for a project. And thank you. And of course, we've already discussed the administration building. So you'll notice that project is in your book for reference purposes only, and you've just heard where we are in that process. But then what's happened with some of these other projects, such as the health department, with it's generated essentially a second tier of projects. So as you see up on the screen, the public health department is causing us to look a little bit more closely at what might become with the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension, what sort of options exist to address their needs, as well as emergency management, which is also located on the health department site. And when we talk about the courts, you'll see again on that second tier of projects that we need to now look at with the way the courts are coming into existing facilities. We are displacing another department, in this case, the public defender. So we need to have a plan going forward on how to address their facilities needs, both for the short term and long term. And then lastly, the third category that you'll see, we were also asked to provide some general information with regards to potential either creation, establishment, or expansion of our satellite campus locations. And then the last category is just really a listing of either currently available or soon to be available assets within the county. So for example, once the building across the street is constructed, everybody in this building here moves out across the street into that new building. Now this becomes an asset to the county to determine whether to repurpose or to potentially sell or some other purpose. So those are the four general categories. We want to start off talking about the health department, and I can buzz through this fairly quickly because you've seen this before. And based on that last discussion, it seemed apparent to me that we were gearing towards what we were calling option 4 at that time, which was a combination of remodel, expansion, and new construction related to the health facility. But the question came up, what then happens with the University of Arizona, as well as potentially what happens with the emergency management facility. And this is the overall site view of the health facility with the lower left portion of the building where University of Arizona is currently occupying approximately 5,500, 5,600 square feet of space, which is a little bit over 1/10 of the overall footprint of the building. Mm-hmm. Closer to 12%, I guess. We have the Moody demonstration gardens on the left-hand side. And then you see emergency management located at the top of the screen, sharing a trailer. They occupy half of a trailer there with emergency preparedness. And I should also point out in the upper right corner, you may have noticed here a fairly large amount of space surrounding our 4 TB quarantine housing units. Yep. So this is what you saw last time back in December with the planned new construction, the expansion, and remodel, really the remaining facility on that site, and potentially a new storage warehouse for the health department towards the north side. But again, then looking at what might become, I'm sorry, jumping ahead of myself a little bit. This is the space diagram for that option, how space would be allocated throughout the facility for the health department. You'll see that we are showing approximately a 20,000 square foot overall increase in square footage for the facility. Some of that does include lobby space, so not necessarily used by operations, but the majority would accommodate their needs. And this really provides a space plan for them for the next 20 to 25 years. And this again was just an area diagram showing where that additional space is being added to the existing facility. So all the green area would be either new or expanded facility. And you'll see anywhere where you see a cost estimate is based on current data, the best that we understand it. If you really try to pin down a conceptual plan overall cost, you're going to bump up against a range per square foot of construction. So depending on the type and the nature of it, I've tried to lean towards one end or the other of that range, and but always with an eye towards safe, not overshooting too much, but trying to say I feel fairly confident that this work could be done in this price range. You'll also see in your book when you get there an overall general projected timeline, how long it may take to construct this. The exact dates, of course, would depend on when approval is to move forward, but you'll have a general overall length of time to build the project shown there as well. So, University of Arizona, we've looked at a number of different options. We've narrowed it down to 3 here for your consideration. Depending on a couple of, depending on where the priority seems to lay. So the first option to consider here is to keep the cooperative extension here on this site, directing your attention back towards this northern portion of the site that's essentially undeveloped at this point in time, and looking at what we could do with that space. Doing so, of course, would keep their offices on the site, close to the Moody Gardens, and close to where they currently are located. Relatively, I mean, it's a large construction project, but fairly straightforward, I guess I would say. Now, you'll see something here. This is for future consideration. As a matter of fact, Public Works has asked us to submit a request for a future project to consider a fleet shop in the site. And if you think about it, we have a number of large facilities. The bulk of our county vehicles are located here. Mm-hmm. So rather than shuttling them out to Public Works and back all the time, they would like to see a site. So I'm kind of holding this place here for a future project where we could do those quick services to our county vehicles right here without having to bring them all the way out to 5.5 feet. But the blue here is a space, again, a block diagram representing approximately 7,000 square feet. And that's through discussions with U of A, what seems to be required to run the programs that they have. And their director is here with us too. If you want to ask any questions, I'm sure he'd be happy to share, their program space. They are running a couple of their programs are being forced to be operated out of the agricultural center on West 8th Street right now, mm-hmm. which has its own implications. So of course their desire would be to keep everything under one roof here on this site, or together, I guess, under one location. This should accomplish that. And what I'm showing next to it again then is a future expanded materials warehouse for the health district, for the health department.
So the PPEs aren't all over the place, yes.
Exactly. And then so basically what I'm doing here is condensing down that area. Right now that west wall surrounding these units is about here. So we'll be shifting it to the east to take better advantage of this space.
Where do we put emergency services?
Inside.
I'm happy you asked.
Oh, okay.
There's options to consider there as well. And this next one is just a slight variation of this. And I actually got this idea looking at the Gadsden School District facility in San Luis, which is relatively new, but it was constructed all as one facility, and it seems to be a metal building type of construction, which is fairly economical. And they have their administrative offices in one end, and they have essentially warehouse space on the other end. And thinking that something like this, there would be a slight economic savings to be realized doing this approach. Probably not terribly large, but doing it as one facility could result in some savings there. So there's very, very subtle difference between the two approaches. Doing this approach too, just a couple things to keep in mind. Essentially establishes another asset on county property. This would be the same concept as what we have right now with their space inside of the health facility. And if somewhere down the road their plans change and they move on to another location, then the county would have control of this to repurpose for some other needs. I'm showing it just a slight change here in the connecting the parking lots, primarily to allow for delivery vehicles to drop off to the warehouse and out to 21st Drive. Right. Option number 2, again, coming through discussions with U of A staff. This is their agricultural center, the Glenn Curtis Center out here on West 8th Street. And they have indicated potentially making available a portion of land here in the northeast corner for possible construction of the same type of facility in that location. So doing something like this is that exact same footprint of a building. I'm showing a relatively modest increase in the existing parking lot to accommodate this new facility. Now, I think there are some details that maybe work through. I don't know if I know everything about what sort of IGA might have to take place to accomplish this. But the thinking then was that the funding would be provided by the county, and the University of Arizona would end up with a facility that is theirs to maintain and operate going forward.
But it would still be county owned?
I think it would be county funded was the thinking. And then
the reason I was asking is property. Who would own the property? If we put our building on it, is it county property or vice versa?
And I'm not sure we have a definitive answer to that yet, but the idea is that it's currently...
It's a legal answer, actually.
Yeah.
It's a legal answer. So,
yeah, you got to get moving. Otherwise, you're going to be caught up in a...
I'm seeing that. I'm hearing that. Okay, we'll move along. Option 3 was... this is the third option for the University of Arizona, and the idea was reusing an existing asset or facility. This is the Hopstetter building up the street here, 102 South Main. And it has a footprint of about 8,800 square feet on the main level. I'm showing you the proposed tenant improvements for what will be the next 2+ years being used for the recording elections in that space. Once we're done with that and they move out sometime in 2024, then this space becomes available. So whether the county wants to consider using that space for this purpose or for other purposes, something for you to decide. This is a little bit larger. Again, those building footprints you saw previously were about 7,000 square foot. This is an existing building of about 88 on that main level. It has a half basement and a small mezzanine as well. So those three options, again, these are ballpark estimates, best I can kind of target right now based on the size and approximate cost per square foot. They actually end up being all fairly similar in anticipated cost to pursue any one of those three. And this is you know, we've listed this as a discussion and possible action. I think this is one of the few items that we're really hoping to receive some sort of direction on which option maybe seems most appealing.
We'll get back.
I like options.
Mr. Chairman,
I like options.
when it comes to
Or two.
making an investment, I would be reticent to make an investment on somebody else's property.
Me too.
I think the legal will tell us that it's going to be very difficult to build and give to someone, even if it's the University of Arizona. We have a pretty stringent gift class, so we have to get around that. And I don't.
Chairman, we're in the process of looking at that, and we'll get an answer back to.
Right, but that's why I didn't want to get into it, because there are some issues with building anywhere else that isn't county property. So until we get that resolved, option 2 is really not an option we can consider. And giving you one or the other two without knowing, it's a little premature.
I mean, personally, I would like to, you know, hear from, or have the director
say something.
Russ, or actually, which option is that
Which option would you like if you could have it?
Yeah. That's because it.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm Russ Engel, Director for Yuma County Cooperative Extension. So if the question is what we prefer, I guess, you know, what I have to take into consideration is our needs. And I would like to start by offering and inviting any and all of you, please come anytime you would like, give me a call. I'll tour you around, show you what we have, talk about our programs and our needs. We, right now, definitely, we do not have, we're bulging at the seams. I have to house some of my people out at the Ag Center. That's not a guaranteed or a given in the future that I can do that. So I have to account for all of my programs, and what we currently have doesn't serve that need. Logistics-wise, I don't know. I mean, out of the options, I'd say the first two would be probably my preference. The issue with, you know, building a county building on, quote, our property, I understand that completely. I think we need to explore what that means. You know, can we give the property to the county and let you build a building and give you that property? That's a decision way above my level. That would be a Board of Regents, you know, president of the university, Board of Regents type of thing. But I was told that concept is not out of the question. Now, like I said, these are people lower down that are telling me, but I think it's something that we can explore or needs to be explored before we would, you know, pursue or go down that line very far. We would need to have those questions answered, because I had those same questions. What happens if it's a county, you know, a county building on our property, or do we somehow, can we, or do we give the property to the county so it's your property, your building?
Given a choice, you would take one or two. Two if it's possible, one because you like.
I think two if possible. It makes a lot of sense to put us out there. There's pluses and minuses to both locations. I think we can work with both locations.
Right.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I like the idea too. For one, it's putting you all together out there. But two, it allows the county to keep a space in where we have other buildings for further growth or expansion by not having it down off 28. It gives us just a little more room to play with down the road for the county.
And we may be able to begin faster.
Yeah.
Because everything is going to sort of move along.
Right, right.
Like that. But anyway, we'll do option one as the first option if it's possible, with either a trade of land or a trade of buildings. Option two. Yeah, option, if it's possible to do it, if it clears legal, if it's just a matter of trading either land or building, and it's able to be done, I'd rather put you guys together where you are together, ourselves. So option two would be our option one, considering all the legal ramifications, and then option two would be the next option if we can do option one.
And then further down the line, I think I think maybe this is a little, I'm not an engineer or building designer, but I think 7,000 square feet is probably a little low. Just my ballpark was more around 10 to 12,000 square feet, given the labs we need, the office space. We only have 10 offices. I currently have 17 employees with 5 vacancies. So it's, what we have now is about half of what we need. So.
What do you have now? How many square feet do you have now?
It's about 5,500 square feet.
Additional. Okay, well, we can look at that, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're looking at sites now. All right, go on, David, you got 30 minutes, 28 actually.
Taking, all right.
It's going to take that much time, okay.
So you asked about the university or the emergency management facility,
Yes,
which
I
is
did.
also, again, on that same site, again, as mentioned in that little trailer on the north side. But as you also know, they do the majority of their work. Well, they're split also. We just talked about keeping everybody together. So this is a public works site out on 5.5E.
Oh,
And of course,
yeah.
right in here is that Emergency Operations Center, or the EOC. They also have a small trailer out here that they use for their radio operators. So what we're thinking here, first we looked at the possibility of trying to expand that building, but the primary point of expansion being off this end here really became inaccessible due to access ways and other utilities in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's other benefits to really making it a standalone facility anyway. So getting with Tony and talking with Josh as well a little bit about needs, we've identified a need for an approximately 3,200 square foot building.
Wow.
Which they have a large landscaped area right out here in front of the building, and of course immediate direct access to everything that they're needing. So included with this estimate up here is an additional small storage warehouse as well for their volunteer equipment and other materials. So that's the current concept. Option number one, we don't really have any other options under consideration at this point in time, but we feel like this would really meet their needs.
Putting them out there would be, that's where they operate. That's where the emergency thing is.
It does make sense, and in the floor plan that you saw for the modified health department facility, we included the other half of that trailer, the emergency preparedness, moving into the main building there.
Oh, that's right. Uh-huh.
Supervisor Simmons' point, again, you have more space available on the north side of that site. This one we can move through very fast. You've seen this before. Again, it's been conceptually approved to move forward, so there's not too much discussion. There is no secondary issues involved. This is the IT and facilities management site right now on Avenue B, and you can see a largely undeveloped site in between DDS and Juvenile. And of course, as we all know, the public fiduciary out on South Pacific is in a facility that is underperforming for their needs, and they've outgrown as well. So the concept plan here, as was presented in the past, was to construct one facility on this site. These colored squares represent existing buildings. So this is the front building for IT. This is their trailer, and this is their metal building that's been converted into office space. And this is facilities management in green. So centralizing a facility for all 3 departments here with some common shared area, parking on either side, and then the support facilities around. These are metal building warehouses that support each of those departments and gives them the space they need. And these have been designed again for current needs and with additional growth factor as well. And you can see we're estimating, again, this is based on the conceptual level, we're looking at about 11 million for everything here. This does include some site improvement, including a new right turn lane. We have a safety traffic issue taking place out here on Avenue B right now, so this would help to address that. And realigning the drive-through. Okay, this is fairly fresh, Courts Division 7. And what's happening here, as you are aware, I believe, is that we're making space for this Division 7. And we're looking at the Justice Center. On the second floor in particular, we have space that is currently being used by Justice Court Precinct number 1. And it's roughly this area that's outlined in red here. And this is in line where the concept is to bring Division 7 into this existing space. You see we have Division 5, Division 6 down the road down here, which displaces, of course, Justice Court Precinct 1. So to accommodate their needs, we're looking at the historic courthouse building. This is the 3rd floor. In the past, there was a courtroom here in this area. This is the northeast corner of the building, directly across from where traffic court takes place. So what they're wanting to do is restore this back to make it a functioning courtroom once again for Precinct 1. And then the rest of their staff also need space in the building. And the county currently has a public defender's office located here on the 2nd floor, occupying pretty much the entire 2nd floor, roughly 8,800 square feet of space.
Wow.
So some portion of this, or maybe all, would then be dedicated to that court staff to occupy. I do not know yet exactly their space requirements for their staff. I don't know to what extent remodeling would be required in this area. So you'll see in your book, again, a ballpark, a light cost per square foot to remodel this space, a little bit heavier to bring this back to a courtroom up here on the 3rd floor. So then the question, of course, is what does the county do with the public defender's office? So as far as a short-term solution, there's not a whole lot available. As you know, our assets are on the smaller side and largely already occupied. We do have an immediate vicinity. This is the historic courthouse here in Justice Center right behind it. We have this small building here, which is, we call it the Risk Management Building at 145 South 2nd Avenue. We also have recently purchased the what we call the Camarena property. The former law office is here right across the street. And then I want to bring your attention to one additional facility back here. This is actually a building that's currently available for lease at 201 South 1st Avenue. So all within, close proximity to each other. The issue is that we don't have one that will accommodate the entire public defender's office. So you see this entire building is about 6,200 square feet. This is the risk management building at 145 South 2nd Avenue. And what I'm showing here is a conceptual remodel to take on as much of the public defender's office as we can. We're short on offices, we're short on everything. Plus, I've outlined this yellow area is really the point of, from good to average quality construction to maybe something a little less than that in the back. This is largely unoccupied. It's a little bit dark, low ceilings, and in fairly rough condition. So it would take some investment to make it usable. Yes, it is. Case files stored back here and things like that. Shannon Gunderman's office was here, conflict administrator. We're using an area here for our pain relief therapist. We have health department, as you mentioned, has some of their PPE stored here as well currently. So if this could be made available, it would require some remodeling, but it would not take on the entire public defender's office. So in trying to keep, again, close proximity to each other as well as close to the courthouse, to make up the difference, we're considering either these buildings are currently leased out. This is the Camarena property at 217 South 2nd Avenue. And it's not as large as it looks. We're really talking about this area right here in this front building as could be made available. It is enough, but barely. The floor plan, I think, has 3 offices inside of it and a conference room and a lobby reception area and a small bathroom break room. Part of this building is not to code. It's not occupiable for fire issues and access issues. We also have, this is just a covered parking area back behind. This building is currently leased. We could terminate the lease and utilize that space as well, but it's essentially 3 suites. What could be considered as an alternative to that is leasing this space here at 201 South 1st Avenue. It's a counseling business that is relocating and is available as of March 1st. I'm sorry?
Is that the one next to the Eagle? No.
It is, yeah. Eagles are just below this picture to the down below. It's right on the corner.
That's a
dark brown. Well, you can see it here.
Yeah.
I have not seen the inside. I've been told it's been recently renovated. It has roughly 10 offices, a large conference room, a lobby, and some other amenities that could be useful to us, as well as its own parking lot, which would also be and a little bit larger than what we have available over here. So,
And the,
oops.
that would be the public defenders would go there.
What we're considering is having to divide the public defender likely between this space here at the risk management building and one or the other of these two. It's not a great solution, but it's basically what we have available right now while we determine a better permanent solution.
Well, how soon do we expect the 7th or 6th division?
The 7th division.
The 7th to be operational. I mean, that has to be.
The judge has talked about being able to accommodate a judge and a judicial assistant and a bailiff within his current configuration, but adding a full-size division would take a little longer. So we can start it now as we're doing this remodeling and moving things around to accommodate the full division. No, I'm pretty sure he's going to be they're going to be requesting the money in the next year's budget to start.
My question, Mr. Chairman, what are we going to do with this building once it's emptied?
I tell you what.
We've got 3 floors here of offices.
You run into that question, yes. Exactly, and I think that there's definitely value in this facility, and it's up to you to decide whether to repurpose it or potentially sell it. The issue is that it's not available until
that 197's done.
So, and as we look at the area here, my concern is that we don't find properties available very often, and this is available now. If there's any interest, then we would want to move on that fairly quickly. This rents, by the way.
Leasing any space when you have space of your own, ever. I mean, even if the building, and I'm not really keen on moving anyone in the justice system away from the justice center, the courts. It's not a good idea. That's why we bought, like the Camarena offices and.
Well, you have to expand your security.
Yeah, and there's a lot of
else.
issues in there. Keep going, yeah.
Okay. This is future planning. So yeah, talking about a better permanent.
Don't even consider the courts county stuff. That's how bad it is. Yeah, we pay for it, but I mean, they do what they want.
Yeah, we don't have any control.
So this is forward looking. This is nothing more than broad concepts, a high altitude view, if you will. But in looking at the overall justice complex, as we're calling it, this area that's bounded in yellow, this is all property that this county owned currently and is all related to the Justice Center, adult detention, et cetera. So, and here's that property again at 217 South 2nd Avenue that we purchased. So what we want to consider, start moving forward, is how that space could be better utilized to serve the needs of that overall complex. So this is a concept that takes a couple things into account. Number one, one thing that we're tight on is space for parking. We do have, that's in relatively close proximity to these facilities. We do have our parking structure here in the southwest corner of the overall site, which accommodates about 210 vehicles. And you'll notice we have an existing parking lot here at the east side of adult detention that is the exact same size. So we could take the same structure and add a certain amount of parking to serve the overall complex at this northeast corner. And then we're starting to look at, so these and I apologize for the ugly colors, but I was trying to go with something that was visible over the background. The pink color here and as well as down below represent the approximate needed space for the public defender and legal defender. So, if we were to essentially wipe this portion of the block clear, the legal defender, there's an assessment in your book as well to get a little background information on that facility. It's about 70 plus years old, and they've outgrown it as well. So part of this concept again is considering the possibility of acquiring the right-of-way to this little portion of 2nd Avenue here. And again, making this wall one enclosed, safe, no vehicle access, pedestrian only, and secure site for the complex.
Oh, wow.
What I'm showing again is not necessarily a design of any sort, other than I've taken the facade of the existing Justice Center and mirrored it over to kind of show a central plaza area with presumably with expanded handicap parking below. One of the other things that I've heard mentioned is that the judges are a little concerned about their security parking in this public parking lot. So looking at the topography of the site, consider possibly an underground parking area, secure parking for judges only, connected by an underground tunnel, which would bring you into the first level of the historic courthouse, and then direct access, secure access into the Justice Center here.
Don't give him any ideas. Move fast.
I just listen and try to respond.
I know, but.
There's a series of underground tunnels for inmate transfer here. Here, you can barely see it in the gray. So in theory, again, if there was a need, we could, if we were to expand above this, just the same concept as the existing building where you'd have courtrooms and space above, then in theory, you could also connect underground tunnel to bring inmate transfer in that way as well. So the idea again being that we'd have the legal defender, public defender on the main floor, secure parking, probably some archive storage, file storage in a basement below, and then courts second, and even if there was a need, a third floor as well above. So that's a little further out. But again, we need to start thinking about what the permanent solution is for that, for the public defender's office at least. You tell me how far you want me to go with this. This is again all in your books. This is satellite office concepts. I've looked primarily at 3 areas: San Luis, Somerton, and Welton. This is your existing site. I think you mentioned earlier that this is leased land where our current, this is the San Luis Library. And this is the Justice Court Precinct 2, as well as, this was an interesting concept originally. It was scaled back. It currently houses the courts, probation. The assessor now has an office in here as well. WIC has this corner down here. The Board of Supervisors has an office.
But the chairman has an office that he hasn't visited in 3 years.
Well, constable has.
That is being used by the constable now.
And
He thinks it's his office now.
And I think a very highly used multi-purpose room in here. I've seen it.
Sure. I don't even know if I can get into it anymore.
Yeah, you don't even know if
How
you
bad
could.
it
You have a
is.
key?
I used to, but I think it's been canceled or something. I think they assume it's their building, the Justice Center.
This was the concept plan before, and you can see what was built a little bit different than what's here, and then the second building was not built at all. So there were originally planned to have expanded healthcare and other programs in the second building. But you can see from this site, there's an abundance of space. I would just recommend not building anything right here because of the slope down to the canal. I think probably over on this side would make more sense.
Probably on the other side of the parking area if we had space. Because anytime you have to build a retention wall, it just makes it very.
Retaining wall would be, yep.
I think that everything in the satellite system comes in as we see the need a little bit closer. I mean, right now we have a bunch of projects to focus on. So, I think we will look at the satellite facilities. I mean, they're probably more needed like in Somerton or in Welton. What I'm trying to say is in San Luis, I think that already covers what is needed. Somerton and San Luis, I think, are different.
And I think it's I know we don't need to build right away, but at least
plan into it.
Plan and acquire land if possible. That's
Make sure that we have a space.
That we have the space.
And I think that is one of the questions here in Somerton. We have an opportunity, it sounds like, at least in principle, to consider a swap of properties. This is the municipal court building on Main Street, where we have WIC located on the north end. And then you've seen this previously as well. This is currently under development, primarily for the high school here. But they're planning this portion of the overall site as well, and have indicated a willingness to discuss a trade for this 2 acres here. So, and this is what I shared before, and again, no real idea yet of what sort of department space or who it might occupy, but you can see how a roughly 8,000 square foot facility would fit on that site with sufficient parking, or even break it down into smaller pieces. If you had maybe health related facilities, maybe something else in a second building at another time. So,
and that's a perfect example of what
could happen. We need to get ready.
Whether we want to move forward at least with the
If
land
Somerton is
extension.
looking for an answer, you put it up in the agenda and we'll make a decision. If we can make a decision now, the decision for me would be to proceed in securing a site. I think that the fact is that if you do it on a timely basis, it avoids the major problem later on of having to acquire it at the value of that or something.
Well,
So
they got you.
Yeah. Okay.
And just very briefly, Welton, also, as you know, we have this facility here, which is Justice Court Precinct number 3, a sheriff's office substation, and an office for DPS. This was part of a dedication from USBR, this overall 40-acre parcel. We have a little under 2 acres here that's developed for this site. And then this is the community pool here on the west side as well. So the thinking, again, if there is a need to essentially keep all potential satellite sites equal, obviously we have some services here that we don't have the others, primarily the sheriff's substation, and or some of those that may be present, say, in San Luis that are not present out here. So if there was a desire to, say, add another department in this location, there's really no space to do that in this facility. So looking around at what could potentially be or is available, we've identified our real estate agent we've been working with knows the owner of this land right across the street and is contacting them. He believes there's a willingness, potentially, again, you talk about securing land, so there might be an opportunity to secure.
And I think Welton is always, in the near future, probably the future that we can see, it's going to be more county type situation. In other words, they're far away. They're far away, meaning in terms of distance, so that essentially even if it develops into a larger city, they're still going to need a lot of the county facilities nearby. So to us, to me, it makes sense to try to see if we could just secure land like we're doing in Somerton, so that essentially when we see that coming, or when the Board of Supervisors sees that coming, they only have to do is decide what they want to do, not where they want to do it, but what they want to do.
That's that same piece right here with our JP3 site across the street. I could definitely see some advantages to the site just in terms of connecting utilities and that sort of thing. This piece out here, a little bit further to the east, is available for sale. This is a portion of a larger site. I believe it's about 17 acres that's listed for sale right now. It does have some concerns, I guess I would say, in that the canal actually runs through it as well as the railroad tracks. It's right on the edge of town, but it is listed for sale, and that's the only reason I'm bringing it to your
It
attention.
slopes too. There's a pretty good
It is a
slope
pretty
going
good
down
slope.
to the canal there.
Do we get anything from DPS?
Yeah, we get tickets. Do you want to get something else?
Oh, maybe that's a payback time with the.
The
Get
state,
some of that money
money.
back.
Yeah. Well, okay. So if you want direction, yes, try to see if the real estate guy can work it out so that the owner of that property in there is willing and able to sort of put it in the market and see if we can swing it and make sure that we have it.
An additional possible use, you've probably heard mentioned that Josh with Public Works is looking to potentially bring his remote site for Public Works.
No, I haven't
closer
heard
to
that,
town.
but, and I'm not sure I want to hear it today, but
So it could be combined with that as well, just as a thought.
it's a big enough site.
And then lastly, again, you've got a full listing in your books of all the assets. I just have 198 listed here in the PowerPoint, and then we're done. And again, no specific planned use for this site just yet, but it's broken down by area. You can see again at your leisure the amount of space and the layout in this building right now, how it could be made available once we're ready to vacate the site. And overall about 27,000 square feet, and you've got an area per level. One thing I would point out, and you mentioned even overflow space and our current boardroom that we're in right now, about 1,200 square feet. It may be that this could provide some added benefit going forward as meeting, training, conference, overflow space, whatever it may be here in this room as well. So. And then this is, again, everything's detailed in the handout that you have. So these are the either currently available or potentially available assets for the county. Our admin building, public fiduciary once we vacate that site. Gadsden Park has a metal building on the north side that's been.
Is that where the rural metro people were?
Gadsden Park, yeah, had that metal building.
It was previously was shared between the sheriff's office and rural metro. And they may still have an idea.
You did a good job. You almost got there. I mean, you got 6 minutes left, so we can talk about what we got going, and it's just a time frame. I mean, it's
Mr. Chairman, could you summarize the direction you'd like to give? I know we heard it pretty clearly on health, on U of A. Option one being, or the top preference being on their site, if we can work out legally how that would work. Their second preference would be on the health department site on the north where emergency management is. You're comfortable moving forward with emergency management in a future location.
I think we talked about.
And then for public defender, assuming that's going to go forward.
I'm not gonna. I mean, right now, I'm not ready to make a decision on public defender. I just, it's like you're asking us the 7th division. I'm not ready to make those decisions.
But you are interested in moving forward on land in Somerton?
Yes, we're interested in moving forward with land in Somerton and land in Welton. We're also interested in moving forward with most of the projects you've got, but just not the choices right now. I mean, I don't think, I wanted to spend some time talking about the projects we have ongoing, the ones that right now are, like the health department, the administrative department, and get some timelines. We have been, and that's, yeah, I know you said there were some timelines in here, but
So if I could, can I ask a question of clarification? So for the health department project, either of the options with the University of Arizona will address their need, which means there should be, we're able to proceed with the health department plan.
I think so. I think
Is that
that's
correct?
I think we chose a site that you gave us that was sort of like a remodel that, gets into the tens of millions of dollars, but it's still a remodel of some sort. And you address the issue of the extension, which is, we've given you direction on. So I think the only thing that's left for me to say is we've gotta somehow put those projects, the administrative building and the health department building and the ITI, yeah. And we need to put those on a faster track. We need to see them happen. We are, the time, the fact is we pushed those because we thought we were going to be able to get a good window for interest rates. Now that could disappear at any time. I'm concerned that we need to move those projects to the financing, project source, to get the bonds done and get them on the books and get them going as quickly as possible. This is a moving target right now to me. It's still a moving target as long as
Interest rates low.
yeah. Well, and so the only direction I would give you is try to get those projects ongoing. Get the financing for them. We've seen what the building looks like, and that may have some concerns about the layout, but not the overall building itself or the cost or any of those things. I think we're pretty much fixed, and the longer it takes for us to get it going, the worse the cost is going to get. I don't see that downward trend that we normally see with time happening
As well
here.
as interest rates,
Yeah.
yeah.
Smucker's Park.
Good.
Greg Ferguson Park is one example. But no, I mean, look, it's not the 20-some years that I've been here. It's the fact that we've already chosen what to do, that we already chosen sort of what it looks like. We already chosen where we're going to put them, the size. We've chosen or looked at the options with the health department. I think we're done looking at them. We need to get going with them.
Got it. I will speak with Gil about the financing piece
All
of
right,
it.
we got to get that going. It's a window of opportunity that can close at any time.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You got 2 minutes, dude. You can leave. This is it. This is the end of this meeting. We'll talk about specific options if you need to, David, as you see fit. Okay? Quickly. Thank